That looks good. That looks good. All right, we good. Everything look good. What's up, people? All right, getting this set up here. All right, we just had Monday Night Raw go off the air here. All right, let's see here. All right, everybody is connecting. That's good. All right, let me refresh the browser here. We're going live in about 15-20 seconds. I'm just double checking some stuff real quick here. Yeah, let's change that real quick here. Swap in my thumbnail. And we'll be good to go. Swap that in here. Boom. Swap that. Looks good. All right, that looks good. Let's see here. Try this here. Looks good. All right, let's rock and roll, man. Let's do this. But first, change that one more time here. There we go. That look good. That looks good. Come on. It's still thinking. Okay. Look here. That looks good. All right. Everything looks good. All right, people. We got us a show. Let's go ahead. Let's do this, man. All right. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do it.
Warning, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
What is going on, kind people? For November 2nd, 2020, you're checking out an all-new The RCWR show. Covering the latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond. It's great to be here with you guys on an all-new RCWR show for November 2nd of 2020. Just a couple of minutes removed from a new WWE Raw. We're live for the next little bit. We are streaming to you on youtube.com/the RCWR show. Also streaming on Twitch/Periscope, Facebook as well. So however you're tuning in to join live right now, welcome. Please come one, come all, stay a while, interact. A lot of fun stuff we're going to be diving into on this very episode here. Of course, we're going to be talking about key points from tonight's WWE Raw, my reactions to the news of finally, after all these decades, we're going to be getting a documentary covering the life and career of Vince McMahon. Oh, I'm looking forward to talking about that. And we got some more turmoil/drama going on with Twitch and WWE, as WWE has really put down the gauntlet there on their WWE talent with their Twitch accounts and YouTube accounts and other stuff that's going on. Pissed off one particular WWE superstar, and the shocking news that rocked the entire wrestling community as a whole, but at the same time, you saw nothing but the best wishes coming to this particular wrestler, Kylie Rae, shockingly announcing her sudden retirement from pro wrestling. For our Patreon members, as well as listeners that had checked out what I had to say for Bound for Glory, or if you've been checking out the episodes of Impact Showdown that's been dropping for on demand in the downloads, you all know how much praise I have given Kylie Rae within recent months. She's definitely one of my favorites. So we had a jam-packed loaded episode for you guys. So it's weird when we only do one show and basically there's no other show. I was supposed to drop some more content after last Monday's show, but a sad, funny thing happened to me on the way to trying to do that. I ended up getting sick. And I tell you, I just feel so fucking bad when I get sick. I don't know if it's happened to you guys yet. I would love to hear your sad sick story. I really, really would, because I'm curious if y'all are having the same experience as I am. So I ended up starting to feel sick Wednesday night going into Thursday. And I thought maybe, okay, well, I got the day off from work Thursday. I'll just sweat it out. I'll stay under the covers. I'll take some Mucinex. I will take my cough medicine. I'll get as much rest as I can. I should be good to go. Friday comes and I'm feeling even more like shit. I'm going, oh man, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to go to work. So all I had to work was Friday and Saturday, and that pretty much was it. I would have had my usual 2 days off and everything, my Sunday and Monday. And there was just no way I could suck it up, because even my girl was saying to me, you don't think you can hang in there for just, Friday and Saturday, and then you got Sunday and Monday? You don't think you can hang? I said, nah, the way I'm feeling right now, I'm not going to be able to hang. I'm dealing with money transactions as well. It's like, nah, I don't want to mess up my money. That's the last thing I want to do, is mess up my money, because guaranteed, you put me not at 100%, I'm sick, and I got to deal with cash. Oh, I'm fucking that up. There's a proven track record for that. So I need to be on point. I need to be on my A game when it comes to that. So I took Friday off, and I was talking to my boss and everything. And I said, look, this is what's going on. And my boss was like, okay, well, two things. One, what's your temperature? Because if your temperature is not at this range, but it's at this range, okay, then yeah, obviously there's a problem. But then he was like, well, even if you're okay with the temperature, you're still going to need a doctor's note. So basically, I could not return to work until COVID-wise negative. So it's like, oh. So once again, due to running around, getting the COVID tests, y'all that remember a couple of months ago, I had to get a fucking COVID test. And luckily that was negative. So I had got another COVID test. And the results came back negative, so I was happy for that. So what I was experiencing was a common cold. I never doubted it was a common cold. I never doubted that whatsoever. But just the fact that we now have to go through these loopholes, isn't that crazy and just funny when you stop and think about it? When you're feeling the way you're feeling, that deep down, all the precautions, especially when you've been taking the precautions. You've been sanitizing, you've been washing your hands, you're wearing your gloves, you're wearing your mask, you're maintaining the social distance and everything. You're doing your best not to get too close to individuals and everything, especially out there in the public. You still feel a particular way when you get sick, but with confidence knowing, hey, I don't have the COVID. I'm good based on everything that I'm getting. Yet, it's just a common cold, but your employer has you going through, and I get it, trust me, I get it. At the end of the day, just because I get it, it doesn't mean I have to like it. I think we can all agree with that. It sucks because, that's essentially time you're missing that's out of your paycheck. but at the same time, you want to make sure that, well, just in case, it stays with your ass and it doesn't travel to other people. So, continue to get plenty of rest. I tell you, I slept like a bear, these past several days. I slept like a bear. I did not finally start catching up on wrestling content, really not until Sunday, late Sunday night, because I particularly didn't care about the Cowboys game. Don't even get me started on my Cowboys. Yeah, I know. But hey, I got my other team. I got my Tampa Bay. I got my boy, Tom Brady. Hey, wherever he goes, that's where I'm going, basically. But I got my handful of football teams that I follow. But Cowboys, I've pretty much scratched them off the list for this season at least. But yeah, I started getting into the wrestling again Sunday night, going into today, getting myself ready for the show. So for those of you that was looking for more bonus content from last week, now you know what the hell was going on. I'm just glad that I am honestly out of the woods, and hopefully I will not get sick for quite a long time, at least for the rest of 2020. I can tell you this much, and it's a good observation that my girl pointed out to me. She said, when it comes to you being sick, the last couple of jobs that you were at, you would get sick at least every other month. But so far, since you've been working where you're at now, and how about that? As an essential worker, you've only gotten sick twice. That's a pretty good record when you stop and think about it. I've basically been working where I've been working at now for 7 going on 8 months, and I've only been sick twice. So that's pretty good. I got to knock on wood for that one. Monday Night Raw tonight. Not too shabby. I am curious what you all have to say about this week's WWE Raw. So take your pick. I have a poll on Twitter at the RCWR Show. You can give me a follow over there as well. I'm asking you guys, what did you think about this week's WWE Raw? So far, I am seeing that we have 31% of you that's giving Raw a thumbs down. I repeat, 31% of you are giving Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 69% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Meanwhile, on YouTube, you can also vote over there if you like. YouTube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the Communities tab. I'm seeing that right now, again, early voting, still early. I'll circle back in a little bit, maybe after we get done with the talk of Raw. I'm seeing that on the YouTube Communities tab, we have 100% of the votes that's coming in so far, where you're giving Raw a thumbs up. Okay episode for this week as we are going further here, setting things up for the Survivor Series pay-per-view that's going to be coming up a little bit over 2 weeks. Now, let's talk some key points and everything, and I'll definitely sound off, go a little bit more in depth on some areas here in between. I enjoyed how Raw opened up with Randy Orton realizing and recognizing the fact that he has such a bullseye on his back right now from all directions, be it from Miz, now that he's the new Money in the Bank briefcase winner, be it come in the form of Drew McIntyre, who obviously wants a rematch for his championship, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Obviously, some unresolved issues, some unresolved beef right there. So all of that is going on as Survivor Series is right around the corner. And assuming that Randy Orton is still going to be holding on to that championship, then he has to face the tribal chieftain Roman Reigns. And with Roman Reigns now having the services of Jey Uso, which, by the way, I found it interesting that I didn't get a chance to talk about SmackDown. And don't worry, I'm not going to go spamming all out on SmackDown. But I just can't help but recognize this. One, if y'all have not been checking out SmackDown yet, y'all are really missing out. Because unhinged Roman Reigns, I am really, really loving this incarnation of Roman Reigns that we have running around right now. This is the best version to date I have seen of Roman Reigns, and I can tell he is really having fun with this. And I'm telling you, it's gotten to a point right now where I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this, and I'm most curious to know what you WWE fans think as well. But I feel that with regards to the Roman Reigns segments on SmackDown, they are must-see TV because he has really, truly embraced this new direction. And, it's so much more now than just, okay, he's got Paul Heyman by his, it's grown so much more than that over the course of these past several weeks. And it's truly one of the things that, in my honest opinion, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, it to me comes off as if it's one of the main selling points, but on top of that, the main attraction that is carrying the overall load of SmackDown when you're watching it every single week. And I love the friction that was going on, man. You could cut that bad boy tremendously. I loved what was going on there with him and Jey Uso from this past Friday's SmackDown. Roman giving Jey until the end of the night to decide, okay, you gonna roll with me? You gonna recognize me as your tribal chief? Or are you going to go your own way? And you can literally do like that freaking cell phone commercial. You can go your own way. You can go like that. I hate that version, by the way. I hate that version. But give me the TikTok joint with my man from LA doing the skateboard, drinking his cranberry juice. Give me Stevie Nicks as well. I'm good. Stevie Nicks looks good, by the way, don't she? I mean, that girl, I was telling my honey earlier tonight, actually. I was telling her the other night. Not the other night, but earlier tonight. I'm sure I probably said it before. I got to make sure I tone it down because I don't want her getting jealous. But I said, damn, don't Stevie Nicks look good? I said, she look good, don't she? She look good for, but guess how old she is? And I was like, yeah, you told me before. She's in her 60s, right? I said, nah, she's 70. She's, I think, 72. And she's looking like that, like, fine ass little granny. Go ahead, granny. But no, I'm loving it. I'm loving what's going on. But found it kind of odd there that Jimmy Uso, nowhere to be found. That's the point that I was trying to bring up with the whole thing. And the reason why I'm circling back to that is because if Randy Orton still has that championship going into Survivor Series when he has that match against Roman, champion versus champion, as far as we know right now, no titles are going to be on the line for any of these title matches or anything. These champions are going to be facing one another. You can't help but wonder, well, we know that Jey Uso is definitely going to be there at Roman's side come Survivor Series, but what exactly is going on with Jimmy Uso? Is Jimmy going to be part of that whole thing as well? Time will tell, but I love seeing Randy Orton come out there tonight on Raw, acknowledging the fact that he has this bullseye on his back and he's willing to take on any and all comers. Bring it, as far as he's concerned. And the continuation of Alexa Bliss playing the mind games there, just when we think it's going to be a setup for Bray, Drew McIntyre comes out, getting the surprise attack and everything. And, I can't help but look at that. And I think it's brilliant on so many levels because right now, when you really kind of take a step back and you really think about it, and I'm surprised the commentators have not brought this point up yet. And I hope that after this week, maybe they'll do that. But I find it interesting that the past couple of times Randy Orton has taken some type of bait and he's anticipating the Fiend Bray Wyatt. He's been intercepted by Drew McIntyre. And I'm surprised that the commentators, after a second time now, a second instance where this has occurred, they have not said, is McIntyre and the Fiend and Bliss, do they have some type of an arrangement here? Because this is now the second time Randy's been expecting the Fiend and he's gotten McIntyre instead. You can't help but wonder what exactly is going on here. Is there some type of an alliance here? Because we've yet to be in that situation where McIntyre, Orton, Fiend, triple threat for the title. Pretty sure that eventually we're going to get there. I'm good. I hope everybody is good. I see what you guys are saying in the chat. I'm good. I hope you and everybody else is good. We rocking and rolling over here. We talking about Fallout from Monday's WWE Raw. But it's interesting. It's an interesting case right there where twice now this has happened and we did not have the commentators. The first time you go, okay, that was a nice little trick surprise. But then when you do it a second time, when you call the same audible from the playbook a second time, now you can't help but wonder, okay, so what is going on right here? Obviously, there is no alliance, or so we're led to believe, between McIntyre, Fiend, and Bliss. But still, right? But still, speaking of Bliss, take it for what it's worth. I need a little bit more than what we got tonight, but we're getting some type of a tease that maybe Alexa Bliss is possibly going to be introducing a alter ego. I don't really know. That's just my interpretation. I need to see a little bit more. I can't just be overjoyed and excited, and I can't really go any further, nor should you fans go any further that watch Raw tonight, nor should you guys go any further in what we got tonight. So for those of you that didn't watch Raw yet, you got it on the DVR, or you didn't watch it and you're just trying to find out the 411. So we had a Firefly Funhouse segment tonight, and Alexa Bliss, towards the end of this Firefly segment, she said to Bray, "Oh, I've got something cool I want to show you." And so, Bray's like, "Okay, yeah, show me what you got." So she puts her head down and everything, and when she lifts her head back up, her eyes are freaking, she's got this whole white pupil thingy majigga, she got this weird demonic thing going on with the eyes. Contact lenses, okay, we get that. And then she does this, and I said it on Twitter, and it was funny because me and another podcasting colleague of mine, shout out to DT, Don Tony, I think we both tweeted it at about the same time. I might have been first, but it was funny because we both were like, "Oh, she's got the Laffy Taffy tongue going on," except I spelled my Laffy Taffy with one F, thinking it was one F. And then when I saw his joint, I'm like, yeah, there is two Fs in Laffy. But I'm looking at the joint with her tongue. She's doing this weird thing with her tongue. It's got like this. If I were to think of the Lucha Brothers in AEW, I know Phoenix, Pentagon Jr., they normally like to do that stuff. They put some type of glob on their tongue and do this weird crap with it and everything. So basically that's what Alexa Bliss is doing now. And you're going, okay, this is kind of interesting. What's going on here? Later on during the night, Nikki Cross. Sorry I had jinxed this, but if you've been checking out the show for the past couple of weeks, off and on, I have said, hey, I hope we don't get a situation where sooner or later we get Nikki Cross because that's her buddy.
Oh, Lexi, what's going on? Lexi, we've been friends for such a long time. Lexi, you've changed. I don't understand. You haven't returned my calls. You used to call me on the cell phone. Lexi, what's going on?
And sure enough, we finally got it. It's ass backwards when you stop and think about it as far as WWE goes. It's ass backwards because, and I'm going to tell you why it's ass backwards. Because one of the very first times that we see Nikki Cross, she's involved in a match. And this is shortly after the draft had went down. One of the first times we see her, she's involved in a spot for, what was it? A spot for who's going to be part of Team Raw for the women's side. So that's where you're kind of going, okay. And we saw how that panned out. And she disappears and, we don't see her for maybe a week or, I can't remember the chronological order, but you guys get the gist of it, right? So what I'm a little bit surprised about, and I wish that we could have put one little simple thing into when we saw Nikki Cross going into that qualifying Survivor Series spot there. I wish the commentators would have dropped just that one little crumb. Do you really think Nikki Cross's head is really into this right now? Because according to my sources, Byron, Samoa Joe, she's really been kind of torn up, a bit confused at what's been going on with her buddy Alexa Bliss. Are we really sure that her head's going to be in the game here where she can focus for the task at hand? Because this is a golden opportunity right here to represent the brand going into Survivor Series. And then that would have been a really nice discussion amongst the commentators. Joe could have chimed in with his veteran experience. Oh, I think that's going to be a distraction, obviously. If that's where her head truly is right now, based off the intel you just gave us, I really don't see how she can really have a clear conscience going into this match. Her mind's got to be elsewhere. We'll see how it pans out. But that little crumb that I just gave, it wasn't acknowledged at all. And so think about that for a second. She gets drafted and you just throw her into that match and okay. When off the break, you should have had something like that go down. You didn't even have to let it be a scenario where Nikki is boom off the break as soon as she's on the Raw brand. Boom. Lexi. No, you didn't have to do that. You could have obviously just had her backstage on the cell phone. Hey, I just missed you, it looks like. Could you call me when you get this or send me a text? Thanks. And, that could have been the end of that. And if you wanted to put her in whatever little, spot that's going on, it is what it is. I am seeing that we got, it looks like, okay, Jake, real quick. Don't take this as a knock, because I like acknowledging people that's checking out the show and everything. And this goes out to everybody else. As long as you pick just one platform, as far as following me, that's good. That's good. Now, once in a while, I'll stream some gaming and stuff like that. But other than that, it's like, I would say you just pick one platform. You don't need to be connected to every single platform that I'm streaming on and try to interact that way and get the acknowledgement that way. Here's the beautiful part. It doesn't matter if you're coming from Twitch. It doesn't matter if you're coming from Facebook. It doesn't matter if you're coming from Periscope. It doesn't matter if you're coming from YouTube. It doesn't matter if you're coming from Twitter. The way I have it set up, any comments that are coming in, I can see where everybody is coming in, and it gives me the info on what platform they're coming to me from. So you don't have to be connected simultaneously to all those platforms just to stay connected to me live. I mean, hey, I'd appreciate it if you follow me on all those platforms, but you don't need to be watching on all of those different outlets. I think that's kind of crazy. Now, if maybe it's a case where the app is acting up or something like that, I get that, because Fredo can tell you once in a while when we were streaming exclusively on our show app, we had the show app. I think that was available for Android. I can't remember now. Well, when we had the Android app, the app would sometimes crash as folks were listening live. And Fredo would be one of the first that would say, hey, this is what's going on, Lee. It's crashing here, but you're fine over here. It's like, okay, I'll work out the kinks and we'll try to see if we can figure it out. But yeah, Fredo. Yeah, I can see where everybody is coming from. It's cool because once I link up all of my social media accounts, it's like once I go live, that's it. I don't have to worry about anything. Everything is just so nice and convenient, and I can just see where everybody is coming from. It's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, I appreciate if you guys, you want to follow me on all of those platforms. Hey, I definitely would encourage it. But again, you don't need to have all your windows and be using up your bandwidth and all that just to try to check out the show on all those platforms at the same time. That kind of will drive you a little crazy after a while. But yeah, so the Alexa Bliss thing, I don't know. I need to see a lot more because, okay, great. Contact lenses and Laffy Taffy tongue. What more am I supposed to do with that? I need to see a little bit more. But I will still continue to echo what I had said essentially last week, which is I love seeing what's going on with Alexa Bliss right now. She seems very reinvigorated. She seems refreshed with what's going on here with this new alliance with Wyatt. And honestly, she has been needing something to do for quite a long time. I've been itching to see her go back to being a heel and everything. And given what's going on with her right now, I'm enjoying this for what it's worth. I'm enjoying it. I got to tell you, with her thrown into the whole mix with Wyatt, it has added a new layer to Wyatt, the Fiend gimmick, the Firefly Funhouse, just everything that I just mentioned there. It's added a fresh new layer to it. I just can't help but wonder, though, long scheme of things for the Fiend Bray Wyatt. You know, as many are quick to point out, yeah, he's got all these great things that's going on, but when it comes time, punch in, this guy's always catching those L's. Yeah, that's all he gets at the restaurants. He gets nothing but those hot L's every single time, especially during those big moments. I would like to believe sooner or later, Fiend is going to come right back on top and he's going to be the champion. Now, look, if you'd have asked me straight up before 2020 wraps up, do I see the Fiend becoming the champion? No, I don't see it happening. I already told you what I think is going to happen as far as the long scheme of things. I am truly under the impression that Randy Orton is going to hold on to that championship long enough until Edge returns. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now. I see Edge returning come Royal Rumble. I can legitimately see him winning the Royal Rumble yet again. Calling it right now. Go main event WrestleMania, face Randy Orton for the title. I'm calling it right now. I feel that's exactly where things are going. Now, before Edge went out on the injury and everything, I did feel as though eventually these two men were going to be fighting for a title. I honestly did feel that way. But when you just kind of stop and think about where the story arc last ended between Edge and Orton, that kind of makes a lot of sense to go. My whole thing is, this go round, when these two men lock it up, are the fans going to put to the side what they had saw of these men with their cinematic joints and all that? The one match that was way too long at WrestleMania, then you followed that up with the greatest wrestling match, whatever. And, you know, can they put that to the side and just, all right, let's see what we got right here and now? You know, the only time will tell. I think you got to have a really kick-ass, revigorating storyline to really hook, line, and sinker the fans. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see in due time. But been loving what's been going on there with Alexa Bliss. I just continue to be amazed at her. By the way, I couldn't help but just marvel at the fact that there has been so many people that have been... Here we go again with the word burial. Lana. Lana is a good example. Because obviously we have seen Lana on 7 occasions. If you include tonight, it's now 7 occasions that she has gone through a table. And everybody is so quick to go with the term burial. You know, what is going on with Lana? Oh, you know, she's being buried. You know, what the fuck? Now look. In previous years, I have definitely been harsh on Lana. I really have been harsh. Never personal. As with my critique of any wrestler, my critique of any promotion that's out there, it's never personal. It is just a professional opinion. And it doesn't mean that my opinion is the be all end of it all. It doesn't mean that, okay, well, God has spoken. So no, it's just an opinion. How you walk away from it is at your own accord. I help you look at it from a couple of different angles, and how you walk away afterwards, that's up to you. But I just state my peace of mind, and that's pretty much it. Some of my critique of her in previous years, you could say it might have been a bit harsh, but it was never personal. I particularly did not care for the storyline with Miro, Rusev, Lashley, but I enjoyed the fact that Rusev was getting over. The man was just, I mean, you want to talk about taking chicken shit and turning it into some bomb-ass chicken salad. Yeah, Miro was really capitalizing. And I really felt as though, okay, well maybe we're going somewhere here. I also saw some stuff there with Lashley. And for whatever respected reason, we kind of hit a dead wall right after that with both men. We hit a dead wall. Sad but true. Miro is where he is now. Lana is still with the WWE. Look, I don't know if in some weird form Lana is being punished in some type of way for, but then here's the thing. What is there to be punished of? It would be my question. That would be my question to anybody that feels as though Lana is being punished. What is she being punished for? Because when you stop and really think about it, Rusev has honored, when he was with the WWE, Rusev / Miro, gotta make sure I get that Miro in there so everybody knows who I'm talking about. When he was with the WWE, he worked all of his contractual dates. He met all of his contractual obligations and then some. When it was all said and done, WWE chose to go in a different direction. So he met all of his obligations. When it was time to re-up, hey, all right, we want to go in this other direction, but hey, look, not personal, we wish you nothing but the very best. So, you notice when you listen to the interviews and everything, Rusev has, taking his little shots of the WWE here and there. Oh, reach for the brass ring if you really want this. You really want to be about it. You reach out for that brass ring. Seize it, smash, grab, take it. Take that motherfucker. But, it hasn't been, oh my God, can you believe Rusev Miro said that on this? It hasn't been anything that's been so, it wasn't a CM Punk pipe bomb type of ordeal. It wasn't anything like that. More milder than what Moxley had to say when he was done with WWE. So you can't really jump out there and be like, WWE is punishing Lana. Look, not for nothing. It's taken WWE a lot of years to really embrace social media. But they are now down with the social media, and we'll talk a lot more about WWE and social media in a hot minute, because we got the whole Twitch fiasco that has intensified since last we talked about it. But aside from that whole thing with social media, WWE has now gotten up to speed, understanding what the whole social media platforms are all about and everything. And they have gone a step further and used these social media platforms to their advantage and building up storylines, rivalries, hyping up pay-per-views, encouraging their talent to think outside the box, within reason, of course, on social media in order to get themselves over, and maybe that in part will help them, get some TV time and everything, because hey, look at what they're able to do on social media. Look at these impressions, look at these engagements, look at the analytics, yada 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 smackety. So in the case of Lana, this is what I find funny. When I hear the word burial, I go, yeah, she might be being put through tables and all this other shit. But not for nothing. But when did we ever say Lana was Becky Lynch? When did we ever say Lana was Tessa Blanchard as far as her in-ring ability? When did we say she was a Charlotte Flair? We never said that. We never said that. We all have said, when we've all gone on record at some point, and we've said, she's very green when it comes to the wrestling. Whew, that girl needs a lot more work. We've all said that at some point. We all continue to say that at some point. So you show me a girl like Yana, a lot like I said Yana. You show me a girl like Lana that's going in there and she's getting TV time. Yeah, she might be at the receiving end of a defeat. Yeah, she might be put through the table. I am the table 7 times. But, is it really burial? What you all may see as burial, I see as, okay, this person is getting TV time. They're getting paid. I mean, look, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Think about it. If you're an employer and you are paying your employees to show up and do work, enough said. Enough said. Might be the crappiest job that person is doing at that time. They could be wiping the fucking floors with their fucking hands in the bath towel or whatever. But that's what they're being paid for. Might suck, but you know what? Job's a job. We're paying you. Earn your keep. That's what it's all about. So, not for nothing. Take it with a grain of salt. I'll reiterate it once again. Miro, I'm sure that if there was anything kind of that was going on with Lana, WWE, first of all, that wouldn't be for Miro to broadcast. I legitimately believe him when he says, as far as Lana having beef, she's in the doghouse, maybe because of me jumping ship. As far as Miro basically saying, I'm not hearing anything, I don't suspect anything. Honestly, I'd be surprised if she was in the dog. I take him at face value for what it's worth. I honestly do. I think if there was something else that was brewing, come on, guys, think about it. How outspoken has Lana been over the years? Think about that for a second. So if there was some shit that was really going on, I think if anything, this is a case of WWE utilizing social media, once again, taking the real life, right? Taking what people are reading from the dirt sheets and all that other shit, taking that, using that to their advantage and everything. We don't know when Lana's contract with WWE is going to be ending. We don't. We don't know what discussions creatively has been pitched to her from them and what the plan is for the next 3 months, 6 months, 90 days, all that good shit. We don't know any of that stuff that's going on. But I tell you what, on a funny note, this is something about watching Lana get manhandled. I don't know what it is. I love it. I personally love it. Seeing Nia Jax just have her way with her, I love it because I even loved hearing Nia say to Lana, you're not going to quit, huh? You're not going to give up. I can respect that, but you're still going down. What I see happening right now, just 2 cents from a distance, I see Lana getting tough freaking love leading up to this Survivor Series match. Trust me when I say this, she will be involved for the women's team Raw taking on Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. She will be there. I like this storyline. She is basically earning her spot. She's earning her keep. And I think this is the type of stuff that you need right now, because when it's all said and done, we as wrestling fans, what are we so gullible for at the end of the day? We're so gullible for the underdog. We want for that underdog to get that opportunity. We want that person that never gets picked for dodgeball because, well, look at them. We're really sure they know how to play. That person never gets picked for the team. They're always the odd man out, whether it's dodgeball, basketball, baseball, whatever, you name it. There's always that one person that's the odd man out, right? And so we always root, as a society, we always root for that underdog. We'll be talking a lot more politics on this show later, but stop and think about what went down in 2016. You want to talk about somebody that was truly an underdog, no experience with politics, never held a seat in some type of political office and everything. And, look how that had panned out as far as the 2016 elections go. Understand the reason why we as a nation went the direction that we did in 2016. When it's all said and done, we love a good underdog. So again, taking that, putting it to this whole thing called wrestling, that's what we all as wrestling fans love. We love that underdog. And I actually like what WWE is doing with Lana right now. They're really trying to do their best to make her be a sympathetic character, earning her stripes at the same time. At some point, you are going to have some type of friction between the girls on Team Raw. At some point, you are going to have, and what I mean by that is, at some point, you're going to have, whether it be Shayna or I could continue to see it be Nia, but Nia will be the last one to hold out. But I see some type of mutiny eventually happening where the girls start siding with Lana and saying to Nia, what more does this girl need to do? You know, she keeps getting her ass kicked every single week and she's coming back. She hasn't quit. As far as we're concerned, she's good. She's earned her spot. Let her be on the team already. I can legitimately see that eventually ironing out and everything. And I tell you what, if WWE is really fucking smart, usually it's hit and miss with them. Let me take a quick sip of this real quick here. I'll tell you what tonight's beverage is in a second. That is good shit. I am drinking a new IPA. My girl got the hookup from somebody at work, as their husband actually works for a brewery plant. And he had some extra IPAs. He was like, yeah, you want this? I'm like, yeah. So I got this new IPA because I love IPAs. I got something called Evil Genius. Hashtag Adulting Guva IPA. Pretty damn good. I definitely would recommend you guys check it out. I can show you guys the logo real quick. Please be age 21 and older and drink responsibly. Good shit. That's how it looks. Check it out when you guys get a chance. So, look, if WWE was smart, Lana should be the reason that Team Raw defeats Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. Just saying. If you really want to put a nice pretty little ribbon around it, as far as that whole underdog story and everything, that's the direction you go. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks with that. Hey, you're checking out the RCWR show, covering all things wrestling entertainment and beyond since 2011. We are still talking about just some key points from this week's WWE Raw. A couple of more points of notes here we can talk about. So yeah, Nia, Shayna Baszler, they took on Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose. You know, short, okay little match for what it was worth. Lana was trying to get involved in that. She was actually trying to screw Nia and Baszler out of the victory. And it almost worked. But tag team champions, they prevailed. And then later on that night, Nia basically would issue a challenge to face Lana one-on-one. And we pretty much just told you really the outcome of that. Jeff Hardy was in action against Elias. This was a guitar on a pole match. Again, this was the guitar on a pole match. Felt a little bit too short for me, honestly, but okay for what it was worth. Jeff Hardy going over there. You know, okay, obviously these two men are going to continue on here with this feud. So, again, I pointed this out last week. I would love to see this happen. Can we get Jeff Hardy versus Elias in a Battle of Guitars match? I personally would love to see that. I would. And just to really sweeten the kitty even more, I would love to see this be a interactive poll. I would love to see Jeff Hardy on one side of the stage, Elias sharing the same stage, but he's on the opposite side. And basically, maybe you have WWE superstars. Randomly, they pick a freaking joint that they want for the guys to play. And they cast their ballot as far as who they thought played, you know, that chorus, that hook or whatever the best. And then folks at home could vote as well. Remember, wasn't that long ago? WWE used to say, hey, we want you to call in or text. We want you to interact with us on especially when they were doing the whole Tough Enough and all that. I would love to see them for just one night do something like that. Jeff Hardy, Elias, Battle of the Guitars. Winner of that, cash prize. Or maybe, if you really want to up the ante even more, maybe this could essentially culminate in, okay, this is going to lead into a match. where once and for all, win, lose, or draw, this is pretty much going to be it. But just to sweeten the kitty here, not only are we going to have this type of face-off, but whoever the winner is, on top of them getting this cash prize or whatever, they get to name the stipulation for the match. I think if they kind of went in that direction, I think that would be very, very cool. It would be very badass, especially if they made it interactive and had. That was a great tag team matchup. I actually enjoyed hearing all of those guys go at it on the microphones. That was, I won't say legendary, but it was pretty memorable. I loved hearing their banter there, going back and forth. Poor Cedric Alexander being the odd man out. Hey, you're still a new kid on the block, but you'll eventually you'll get there. You'll have some, hopefully, years racked up under you and working for the WWE. I like how they kind of took their little dig there as Cedric Alexander. I just shook my head going, poor Cedric. Kid can't catch a fucking break. Joined the fucking Hurt Business, trying to demand more cash and respect and everything, and look at this. But no, that was a really good tag match between all four of those guys. I enjoyed that. There's one caveat that I have with this whole thing, though, and it has nothing to do with New Day. If ultimately Her Business is going to dethrone New Day as tag champions, I'm okay with that. I got one issue, though. I get MVP saying, now that we're done with the with Retribution, now that we're done with Retribution is now in our rearview mirror. It's now time for management to honor their word, and we want to get our rewards in the form of championships. We want gold, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm down with that, but do me a favor, writers, WWE writers, hey, talking to you. Let me ask you something. Riddle me this. If you're gonna have the Hurt Business say, now that we have taken care of the Retribution problem, and now it's time for us to cash in, this is what we want, don't you think it makes a little bit of sense to, I don't know, not have Retribution show up a couple of segments later, causing havoc? Because that's exactly what happened on this same episode. I was also dumbfounded by the fact that also in this same episode, let's set this up perfectly for you guys that didn't see Raw. Let's set this up perfectly for you guys. So right after this match, you go to a segment or two later down the road, you get this one match where you got Ricochet, and I swear to God, I see this guy across, I'm going, oh, they got a local boy tonight. Oh, okay, cool. Nice of them giving an enhancement talent a chance here. Must be somebody from the Performance Center. Hey, cool. All right, I'm down with that. Nice seeing some new faces. Cool. Then we zoom in a little bit closer. I'm going, this guy Ricochet's getting ready to face looks kind of familiar, but he looks pretty generic there. I'm looking at his attire and everything. I'm like, looks like a created wrestler there. A little generic looking. Okay. Then they pull up the graphic. Son of a bitch says Tucker. And I laughed out loud. Like you have no idea. I laughed out loud tremendously. Go back. If you got it on your DVR, you didn't watch it yet, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. When you first see it, you're going, hey, local guy. All right, created wrestler. Cool. Enhancement talent. Yeah. And then the graphic it just gingerly, it almost just kind of quietly pops up. Tucker. And you're like, wait, that's Tucker? And I actually said that out loud. I said, that's Tucker? Boy, that was... That's all I gotta say. And hey, this Tucker that felt like, it was me. It was me all along. I was carrying this team. I was doing all the dirty work. I was minding my peace. I was standing in the background. I was always the silent one where you were going out there getting all the flame, getting all the glory, even getting the babes. I was the one in the background just being quiet, being a yes man. And what did it get me? Absolutely nothing. All you could think about is yourself and the money in the bank briefcase. where did that get Tucker when it's all said and done? It eventually got him a match against Ricochet tonight where he went to the restaurant for hot L's because he caught a big ass L tonight. This is how we kick off the new and improved Tucker. We give him a hot L. That I just was speechless. Like, okay, so no proper build up. I mean, think about this. You know it's kind of bad when we come back from commercial break. Ricochet, essentially, you hear his theme music and everything, but the guy he's getting ready to face, ain't no theme music for him. And he's got this generic looking whatever. He's been in the Creator Wrestler store. And, you know, he's got nothing going on here. And you're just like, and he catches a hot L. Cleanly in the middle of the ring, he catches a hot L. I gotta digress. So Ricochet and Tucker, they eventually got their asses handed to them because Retribution came out. Now see, I gotta go old school here. What was the one thing I said that was cool about Retribution a couple of weeks ago? I said, man, you know, the one thing that at least they're doing right with Retribution, you don't know they're coming because there ain't no theme music. So if you get jumped, well, hey, your ass is going to get jumped because there's no music. There's nothing letting you know that they're coming out to fuck with you. But my, how quickly the times have changed because now we get theme music. You're hearing their fucking Beastie Boys little breakout song and everything. And I don't know about you, but I only need to hear that son of a bitch once. And as soon as I hear the first fucking 10 seconds, I'm hauling ass. These guys just continue to stay in the ring, and eventually they get their asses handed to them by Retribution. In this same episode, right after this segment had played out, you should have had Adam Pearce watching this backstage on the monitors. Hurt Business is getting ready to walk past him, and he says, boys, what was that about? Fulfillment has been made about Retribution, and you're talking about championship opportunities or championships opportunities. Well, yeah, consider that to be non-void until you truly take care of this Retribution problem. How is this Retribution problem taken care of by the Hurt Business? What the fuck did they do? Can somebody explain to me what happened there? Because then you don't even have Retribution acknowledge what the Hurt Business has said a couple of segments before. So what am I missing here? Are things squared away because the Hurt Business gave Retribution a year's supply of gift certificates to Olive Garden? Seriously, what's going on here? Am I missing something? Did they fucking say to them, look, we'll mow your lawn for a whole year. Just cut it out with the shenanigans. Just, you know, let things be. Focus on the lower enhancement talent. Leave the color commentators alone. And you know, come on. Look. We'll treat you to McDonald's for the next 6 months. Come on. Chipotle? I know you like Chipotle. Come on. You guys gotta love Chipotle. We'll hook you up with Chipotle for the next 6 months. What the hell is going on? It shows weakness. It shows weak plot holes in creative storytelling here. I'm not even sure if they really, they come off as if they really haven't thought this out when it's all said and done. Very nerve-wracking, very frustrating. Main event match, Drew McIntyre, handicap match, taking on Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison, they thought that they had a golden opportunity to capitalize on cashing in the championship on Randy Orton after Drew McIntyre took his ass out with a nice Claymore kick and all that. But Drew McIntyre interrupted that real quick. He beat both of those guys up, saying to them straight up, if anybody is going to get that championship off of Randy Orton, it's going to be me and nobody else. Miz, Morrison, pretty hot-headed about what went down, issued a challenge to McIntyre, 2-on-1 handicap match. So that was your main event match of the night. McIntyre going over on that one. Randy Orton not forgetting what happened earlier in the night. Out of nowhere connects with a RKO to McIntyre to end Monday Night Raw as you hear the Fiend Bray Wyatt's laughter in the arena that pretty much made the show go to black. And that pretty much was Raw for the night. I tell you this, love him, hate him, at least in storyline, you got Miz that is truly, with that Money in the Bank briefcase, that's what it's all about, right? We've seen Edge, we've seen so many of the best at golden opportunities, or at least what they feel is opportunities to try and cash in the briefcase there. Man, at least they're constantly reminding us there of, hey. So, I don't mind that. By the way, I'm not sure if it was a Kevin Dunn play off the slide or what, but during the Firefly segment tonight, why they kept panning out to the Thunderdome, showing the people watching the show on their respected screens as they're doing the Firefly segment. I don't know whose idea that was. Please stop that, WWE. Please stop. We don't need that. We cannot hear these fans that are participating virtually. We cannot. Let's be honest. Okay, it's time we do a little bit of transparency here. You're using 2K sound audio from previous games to represent your crowd, and you've got stockpile audio of what you've been able to do over the years. So we know that's how you're creating the atmosphere that you're creating. What we're hearing is not legitimately from the fans that's in attendance. And if it is, then we got to do a better job of enhancing their sound so that they can actually come through. And we can kind of hear the little nuisances that's happening in between. But there's no reason to home in on the Thunderdome crowd when what we're supposed to be watching is the Firefly segment. They did that too many times tonight. They did it at least, God, I think it was at least 3, maybe 4 times. If that's enough for me, some of you may say that's a small amount. That's enough, especially when you're taking the wide out shots that you're taking. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. It took me completely out of the element of being lost in the Firefly segment. It felt very distracting because I was under the impression, is there some type of audio issue? Is something weird going on? Look, remember when we used to do that before, when WWE used to do that before, when fans were in attendance, what happened? You had fans that were very quiet. Some were picking their nose. Many of them were looking into their phones. Just go back and look. Or you had people that were just watching the monitor, and, it's like, why are we panning to them? So we got to stop that real quick, because that's going to get very annoying, and that's going to get played out very, 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 very quick. But, overall, pretty decent episode of Raw for this week. Oh, okay. Had some okay moments for me. Honestly, for me, just going back one more time, for me, honestly, I love the tag team match between Woods and Kofi taking on Shelton and Alexander. I enjoyed that tremendously. For what it was worth, the Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler taking on Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, for what it was worth, I actually enjoyed that as well. Hardy taking on Elias and the guitar on the pole match, that actually was okay too, for what it was worth. But okay episode. Let's see what you guys had to say about Monday's Raw here. Let's see what you guys had to say here. Go on to Twitter here. Remember Twitter at the RCWR show. I see that we've got 31% of you that's giving Raw a thumbs down. Again, 31% of you are giving Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 69% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Again, 69% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Let's see what you guys had to say on the YouTube here. And remember, if you want to vote on YouTube, just go to youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab. Now, you don't need to vote on both polls. Just, vote on the one that you want to let your voice be heard on. Whichever comes to your mind first. YouTube, I'm seeing now 33% of you are saying for this week's Raw, thumbs down. 67% of you are giving it a thumbs up. So keep those interactions coming. Keep on voting. Appreciate it. You guys have been enjoying the show so far. Please do me a huge favor. Make sure you leave the thumbs up. Helps other people check out the content with better ease. Subscribe. Definitely make sure you subscribe. Helps out tremendously. All that good stuff, man. All that good stuff. All right. Hey, let's recognize some of our Patreon members. I definitely want to recognize some of our Patreons. Remember, patreon.com/RCWR show. That's where you can go check out bonus audio, video, exclusive content you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. There's some content that was supposed to be released during the month of October. Work schedule kept getting readjusted, not by me, but stuff just kept getting, what the hell's going on here? So October was not a kind month as far as content, but now that some things have gotten straightened out for the month of November, we are A-okay. We are good to go. So if there was ever a time you were thinking about becoming a Patreon, maybe you didn't sign up in October, you definitely want to sign up for November because we're going to be rocking. We're going to be rolling with the content. So definitely check it out. Patreon.com/RCWR show. $5 a month. Get you access to all content that's released during the month. Shout out to Patreon members Gino Morgan. Gino! Shout out to Justin Ripstock. I gotta check in on those guys. I haven't heard from them from a good minute. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. One of the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Marvel's Avengers by Square Enix, and more. Tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews, and so much more. Tony Bing Gaming. He's on YouTube. He has a Patreon paywall as well. Check him out. Good shit. Good shit. How's the stream so far? I gotta, ask you guys, because I love the interactions that we're doing here so far. How is the stream so far? You guys experiencing any type of lag? Is there any type of buffering? Let me know, because if there is something going on, I can adjust at my end off the fly here. I think I'm okay. We'll see. I was detecting a couple of skipped frame rates just a couple of minutes ago. So I'm trying to see. As a matter of fact, let me close this and we'll see if that can help. But yeah, let me know if you guys are noticing any lag, any skip frame rates. Let me know if you guys are any buffering. Let me know if you guys are noticing anything weird. And if so, I can try and close a couple of more programs here at my end. All right, so going to a couple of headlines that's gone down since last we were on the air here. One thing I want to point out to you guys, a couple of things I want to point out to you guys. We're going to mix it up here. Talk wrestling, a little bit of non-wrestling. For you Dwayne The Rock Johnson fans, there is a new book that is getting ready to be released. You'll be able to buy this on Amazon and Kindle. You'll also be able to buy it in paperback. It's going to be released November 29th. It is called Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the People's Champion from WWE to Hollywood. It is by author James Romero. Again, the author is James Romero. Again, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the People's Champion from WWE to Hollywood, is going to be out this November 29th. You can get it in Kindle edition and paperback. It's available also for ebook pre-order as well. Romero, if that name sounds familiar to you guys, he wrote the previous book, Owen Hart, King of Pranks, that was so well received amongst the wrestling community. I'm definitely going to be checking out this new book. And honestly, look, I pretty much know practically all there is to know about Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So for me, it's going to be two things as far as why I would get this book. Tell me something maybe I don't know. And then the second thing is going to be, okay, well, for the collectors in me, the collector lover. I know some of you guys are like that as well. You're collectors of things. So that's going to be the reason why I'm definitely going to be checking out this book. And I got Fredo saying the stream has been working perfect for him so far. No issues. Thank you for that. Appreciate that, my friend. Let me know, guys. Let me know if there's anything weird going on. So yeah, check that out. This one is going to be about 400 pages long. So I just can't help but wonder, how far does Romero take it? You know, is he able to take it right up to when The Rock acquired the XFL with his ex-wife, and in other investors? Is he able to take it up that far? You know, where is the cutoff exactly? I'm most curious about that. And I'll tell you what, if I can get a hold of an advanced copy to preview and try to get a good feel for it, I'll actually release a editorial piece for it, and I'll give my thoughts on it. And if I'm feeling it like that, then trust me when I say I will definitely do my best to see if we can get James on the show to talk a lot more about the book and everything. I'm about 75% there as far as definitely trying to get him on the show and everything. I think that would be a nice, good change of pace. It's been a while too since we've had a guest on the show. I think one of the last times we had a guest on the show, I think it had something to do with Women of Wrestling. I think one of the last times was, I think it was Till Piper. I think that was the last time we had somebody on the show. I got to go back and look at the archives, but I'm almost certain Till Piper, daughter of Roddy Piper, the WWE Hall of Famer. I think that was the last time we had somebody on the show. That was myself and with Mish. Shout out to Mish. I haven't heard from Mish in a good minute. I sent him a couple of private messages. I know he's doing some stuff, but Mish, you probably gonna make your rounds and check this out later. Get at me, dog. Let me know how you been, man. Like, I ain't heard from you in a minute. Got me thinking you're dead. Sarah Stock. You guys remember her? We told you guys, peep out her YouTube channel, peep out her social media content. She was probably gonna comment more about the arrests and the charges that had came at her. I believe it was last month. You guys should recall that as we brought it up on the show, and I remember ending it saying, hey, it looks like she's been releasing videos a couple of times a week on her YouTube channel. Check it out when you guys get a chance. And she was posting basically 25, 30-minute clips, and just some random stuff. It was almost kind of as though she was vlogging, really, rather than actually, she wasn't doing like what we're doing. She was just vlogging about stuff that was going on in her personal life, mixing it in with some fun tips and stuff like that. But Sarah Stock, she took to social media to announce that all charges for her arrest were dropped except one misdemeanor. She had said, and I quote, update on Evansville, the case has already been resolved. All charges were dismissed except for one misdemeanor. I paid a small fine and it's done. Now, the arrested charges supposedly included aggravated battery, resisting law enforcement, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication by alcohol. And for you guys that's kind of going, why does that name sound familiar? Why does that name sound familiar? She was one of many that was furloughed by the WWE right at the start of summer, with the whole pandemic and everything. She was down at the Performance Center as a trainer. And before that, she had wrestled all over the independent. She had a stint a couple of times in TNA/Impact Wrestling. So that should kind of get you guys a little bit caught up to speed. Now I'm sure now that I've said that, you guys have probably gone, oh yeah. Now you know. And let's talk a little politics real quick, and then we can dive a little bit more into some wrestling news. It's weird over here in DC right now. I'll put this out there, and then we'll just kind of, you know what? I'll tease you guys with that for now, because I think if anything, we should close the show out with that. So actually, let's continue to stay with the talk of wrestling. So WWE, they had shared their Q3 earnings. And I told you guys I was going to do my best to stay on top of this because I was most curious how they had did during the third quarter and everything. And I got to give a shout out to Zax, powered by MSN. A really good article that really breaks down, what all they had did. So I want to give them a shout out, and I also want to give a shout out to somebody I'm becoming a big fan of as of late within recent months, Reggie Wade, who is a writer for Yahoo for their finance department. And both of these cats, especially Reggie, I'm not trying to really, but I enjoy, if I had to pick, I really love Reggie's work more because he really does a fine job of, just the bullet points and everything and really breaking it down and helping you come away. Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. So look, as we all know, with COVID-19, that had made many businesses, especially mom and pop businesses, shut down. Some of these businesses, they're still closed to this day. They may never reopen again. There is a cool ass spot that I enjoy going to that's in downtown Silver Spring. It's a record store. It's called the Record Exchange. I love going over there. Anybody that knows a thing or two, over here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, you've been frequenting the Silver Spring area a lot, you know exactly where that area is I'm talking about. But the Record Exchange, it's been there for many years, and it's badass. I mean, when you walk in there, you can just smell the nostalgia. And I'm not being funny when I say that, but you can legit smell the nostalgia as you walk in there. Yeah, they got CDs and everything, but the heart of that store, it's all about vinyl. They sell new vinyl, but the heart of them, it's all about used vinyl. And you will just be lost in there, especially if you don't have anything to do or you got a little bit of time to kill and you got a decent amount of money to burn. You are going to fucking be there for a good minute going through all the vinyls. Lord knows, every time I go there, I usually end up dropping about anywhere from $30 to $50 on vinyl. Okay? And I love it. My point, if there was ever a victim of COVID, it's that store. They're a mom and pop joint. And every time I get a chance to, go over there and, I'm running errands, taking care of some business or whatever. Maybe I'm meeting up with some friends or meeting up with the honey. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Record Exchange is open today. Nope. Still closed. And, they may never open again. There was a Jimmy John's right around the corner from the Record Exchange. Man, when COVID went down, not only did the quality in the food go down, but they were closing more and more and more. And eventually, they're gone. Now the place is boarded up. Not boarded up, but they've got, on the inside, they've got brown paper covering all the windows. It looks like grocery brown paper bags type of stuff, material that they use, but they got brown paper coverings over the windows, the doors and everything. And you're like, wow. So yeah, a lot of these businesses, they've really been hurt by COVID. And obviously WWE has had to adjust as best as they could and everything. But they reported their Q3 earnings on October 29th. So that's how new this is. This isn't something that was, 3 weeks ago or anything like that. This is as of October 29th. So right as we were going into the weekend here. So they posted a revenue increase of 19% to $221.60 million, which is being described as just marginally below expectations for the $221.67 million, and earnings per share of 56 cents versus 43 cents, according to Bloomberg. The wrestling and entertainment company also posted an operating income of $63.4 million, an increase of nearly $57 million, and adjusted OIBDA was $84.3 million, an increase of $58.9 million. So you know your numbers and all that. This is pretty fucking good when you hear this. Digital content. Now, when you really break it down, as far as, okay, so where were they really thriving the most here, as far as the pandemic goes and everything, you know, where were they profiting the most? The digital content. The digital content is what really carried the hell out of the WWE for this quarter. Remember, they have not had any ticketed events, no live ticketed events for the fans. They have not done that since mid-March. Average paid subscribers for its WWE network were 1.6 million. That's now at an increase of 6%. Digital video views increased 3% in the third quarter for a total of 9.2 billion. Hours consumed also increased 3% to a total of 342 million. WWE also posted strong e-commerce revenues, as that increased from 60% to 9.1 million. As many of you guys know, you watch enough WWE programming, they always like to boost when they've surpassed certain subscribers, views, and all that. Well, recently they surpassed 50 billion views on YouTube, making WWE the 5th most viewed YouTube channel in the world. And according to Stephanie McMahon, who is the chief branding officer and director, she's announced that they have partnered with TikTok. And we all know TikTok. They have been really coming up there. Really coming up there. Definitely has been helping with my man in LA, Fleetwood Mac Cranberry Juice, man. You even got Fleetwood Mac backing them up there, giving their endorsement and everything. Love my Stevie Nicks. Y'all ain't figured it out by now. I'm a big Stevie Nicks fan. But also, in a recent note, Morgan Stanley analyst Benjamin Swinburne said that WWE has benefited from production cost savings related to COVID-19. No shit. And believes that WWE's digital content will continue to perform well. So, again, this is from Reggie Wade's report. Now, I want to give props to Zach, powered by MSNBC. They also have reported, on the earnings, and they really did a superb job in really breaking things down even more as far as what was going on with the margins and everything. All right, so when you look at the media division, revenues from the media division surged 38% to 201 million, owing to rise in domestic core content rights fees for flagship programs such as Raw and SmackDown, increase in WWE Network subscription revenues, and higher sales of advertising and sponsorship across platforms. These were partly offset by the unfavorable timing of episodic series for programs such as Total Divas, Ms. and Mrs. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind. Notably, core content rights fees advanced 83%, while advertising and sponsorship revenues grew 21%. Network revenues increased 8%. However, they note that other media revenues plunged to 2.7 million during the quarter, under review from 14.7 million in the year ago period. WWE Network's average paid subscribers was 1.6 million, reflecting the increase of 6%. Digital video views, we told you earlier, rose 3% to 9.2 billion, and hours consumed jumped 3% to 342 million across digital and social media platforms. Now, that may sound a little redundant, but there was a couple of new little tidbits of info there. Here's where it's pretty interesting here. The live events. For those of you that's been wondering, live events, because they were making money, might not have been banging money like that yearly, but before the pandemic, they were definitely bringing in some stuff from the live event gates. What's going on with that? Check this out. Revenues from live events came in at 0.7 million, sharply down 23.2 million in the year ago period, owing to the absence of live events and a corresponding fall in ticket sales in the North America and international markets. Consumer Products Division. The segment's revenue were $19.9 million, up from $17 million in the year ago period. This year-over-year increase can be attributed to higher merchandise sales at the company's e-commerce site. So for those of you, e-commerce, basically online. So WWE Shop. That's in a nutshell, layman's terms, WWE Shop was really bringing in more profits. So if you ever saw when you were watching a WWE show during the week and you're like, man, they're really spamming the hell out of the WWE Shop website. Man, all this blah, 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 percentage off. You probably saw something tonight where they said, if I'm not mistaken, they said 25% off championships or something like that, right? Always there's some type of a sale going on. They got to make up for not being able to get what they're able to get at the live gate. But make no mistake about it, live gate wasn't, when you put all the marbles into something, all the revenue wasn't just strictly off of live gates. It helped, but it wasn't all coming from live gates. What really had carried WWE from the last two quarters before quarter three, the deal with Fox, what they did with Saudi Arabia, re-upping the deal with Saudi Arabia as well, extending it, so thus bringing in even more freaking revenue. There's also a couple of new partnerships that they had announced, especially as far as from the advertising standpoint. So when you look at those had really helped carry them in the first quarter and second quarter. Remember what I told you guys a couple of months ago? We really weren't going to know how much of an impact, if at all, COVID really had on WWE, not really until we got into the quarter three report. So everything that you're hearing right now, you're going, wow, this is pretty good. Everything is up. Everything is on the rise here. Okay, this is pretty fucking good. So let's pick it right back up. E-commerce site, WWE Shop, and rise in video game and toy royalties. Rise in sales at the company's e-commerce site helped offset the absence of venue merchandise sales due to the absence of ticketed audience events in the quarter. There's other financial details as WWE ended the quarter with cash and cash equivalents of $519.5 million, short-term investments of $118.8 million, long-term debt of $21.8 million, and stockholders' equity of $382.2 million. The company incurred capital expenditures of $6 million and generated free cash flow. Remember that one? That's the main one you want to home in on. Of $110.8 million during the quarter under review. Remember, we've talked about that on the show off and on over the years. Cash flow, you've heard me say something along the lines of cash flow positive. If it ain't making you dollars, makes sense. And sometimes you can take that CNTS or you can be SENSE as in common sense, right? So that cash flow positive, that's very important. You want to remember right there. The company paid $9.3 million in dividends during the quarter. So pretty good. Some interesting picks right here. Whereas, actually, you know what? That is it. That is it in a nutshell. So what did we learn? What did we learn? We learned that WWE, despite the fact that they were not performing for fans at live events, despite the fact that they were not, bringing in the revenue there, they were able to make up tremendously in other ways. They were able to do what they were able to do at the Performance Center. They were able to do what they were able to do with the WWE Network. It has definitely helped them. And if you kind of stop and think about it, now it's making more and more sense now. There's been a lot more original, new WWE content. Well, now you know what that is essentially attributed to. Now you understand why, I remember there used to be a time where I would be able to get a hold of a WWE Network subscription. I was able to get it for free for the entire month. And, now you have that tier. Now when you go back everybody was in such an uproar when George Barbaros, and I can't remember the woman's name. You guys that know your financial stuff with WWE, you guys will be able to help me. But y'all remember, because we talked about it on the show, but there was a woman that was also, I guess you could say she resigned, or maybe she was shown the door. But basically, when George Barbaros and that woman both rolled out, everybody was up in the uproar saying, oh man, WWE's going to lose money, and all this other shit. No, the problem was when those guys were on board with the WWE, if anything, they were fucking, I'm trying to break it down in layman's terms. Basically, WWE was losing money with those people at the helm, unfortunately, when it's all said and done. Remember, under those people, you didn't have everything that we got going on right now. Including, like, hey, no more month-long free subscriptions. Remember how we all kept saying, hey, WWE needs to utilize the network more. They need to put new content out more. Not just let there be one new thing once a month. Give us a reason to keep coming back to the network again and again and again. And, so far, when it's all said and done, these past couple of quarters, the ship has really, really been turning around. Also add into the mix what's been going on with YouTube. WWE uploading any and all content, original content, what have you, on YouTube, bringing in some good revenue that way. Really utilizing their social media platforms. They're making some type of revenue off of Facebook, Twitter as well. Now, this is a good segue. Twitch. So, Paige, as well as many other WWE superstars, I was under the impression that sometime in mid-October, when last we had talked about this, talents pretty much had until that period. Okay, you got to stop. You got to stop with the whole Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, wherever the hell you are. You got to stop that, because, yeah. But apparently, that deadline was sometime last week. And you had talents like AJ Styles, Cesaro, Mia Yim, that took to social media and they basically let their audience know, hey, in a nice, polite way, hey, we got to shut down these channels now. It was great while it lasted. We're not sure what's going on. And that's the key thing that you really want to home in on, is the fact that they weren't really sure what the hell was going on. It was almost as if, okay, we got to do this. We don't know what the future holds. We ain't been told jack shit just yet, so we don't know what the hell's going to happen. But yeah, we'll keep you posted. But hey, thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for being a friend and hanging out. So a lot of these guys in the dark, not really sure what the hell's going on. Of the people that have been very outspoken, very candidly outspoken about all of this, has been Paige. That's why if you notice, you look at the thumbnail and you're like, yeah, why is Paige in Lee's thumbnail? Now you kind of understand why, in case you missed it. But she lashed out at WWE. I looked at the video itself, and it tugged at my heart quite a bit. The last thing I like seeing, or that's a poor choice of words, because I don't like it. I think what I was really trying to say is the last thing I want to see. So forgive me there. I clean that up, though. The last thing I want to see is somebody hurting. That's the last thing I want to see, let alone a woman. I don't, there's just something about a woman I don't like seeing when, they are just broken down emotionally and they are damn near crying their eyes out, or they are crying their eyes out. I don't like seeing it. I just want to console them, just put an arm around them and just, it's going to be all right. Just one day at a time. And Paige's shit really tugged at my fucking heart. It really, really did. In case you had missed it, yeah, she fucking lashed out at WWE on a stream, on her Twitch stream, because she's had her Twitch for years, right before going into WWE and everything. And here's what she said, and I quote. I'm letting you know right now in advance, because I know we got older folks that like watching this with their kids. If you got kids that you don't normally be using the curse words around. You might want to have them roll out for a little bit. Otherwise, apologies in advance, but this is Paige in her own words. And I quote, I've honestly got to the point where I cannot deal with this company anymore. So now I have to make a very important decision. I'm fucking tired, man. I broke my fucking neck twice for this company. Over fucking worked. I broke my neck twice for this company, and all I wanted to do was they don't realize that this community isn't just about fucking subs. It isn't about that. It isn't about that. We built a wonderful community, a wonderful fucking community where this is an escape for a lot of people, including myself. I can't wrestle anymore. I was worked so hard in WWE that I can't wrestle anymore. My neck is fucked. My whole dream got taken away from me, dude. And I have to have something that fulfilled even a small part of that fucking void that I lost with wrestling. A huge fucking void. I couldn't wrestle anymore. Something I lived, breathed, fucking shit wrestling since I was a fetus. Dude. And it got ripped away from me. And I had to find something that even filled a little bit of that. Twitch was such a wonderful thing for me. It's such a wonderful place for me. Now, she would do another stream, I think either the next day or a couple of days later. Seemed a lot more mellowed out and everything. And, she basically revealed that she's been in contact with a unionizing lawyer and that she's thinking, very strongly about trying to see, what can she do right here and everything. Now, I don't really know if that's just all talk and I don't, but I can't help but preface that. But I kind of feel it's not just talk because this is something that she has been toying around with openly on social media way before this went down. I mean, she was like this, almost a month ago of talking about, hey, unionizing, or, hey, lawyers and all of that. So to hear that, look, I know I said what I said a couple of weeks ago about the WWE talents. They know the contracts that they signed. They know what they got themselves into and everything. And I you got to go back and listen to the episode. I meant to mark it down because there was a lot of stuff I'm getting ready to bring up once again right here. But let me tell you something. And this is straight from the heart. Morally, if you are an employer, I get that, hey, we control your likeliness. As far as that stage name of yours, that's ours. Okay, so you're going to go on Twitch, you're going to go on YouTube, Cameo, what have you, and you think you're going to be able to, Randy Orton on YouTube, at Randy Orton on Twitch, at Randy Orton on Mixer, at Randy Orton on Facebook Gaming. Like, no, you're not going to be able to do that. Now, if you want to do that shit under your own name, hey, God bless you. Just make sure that you're doing it under your own name. Make sure that you are doing it and you're not mentioning anything WWE related. Then it's kind of like, okay. It is what it is. So these are the rules. I can keep doing what I'm doing over here, but these are the rules. If these men and women were operating under the stage names that WWE gave them, they worked out with WWE. Okay, that's one thing. But these people are going in with their real names and all that, and they're doing what they're doing off the clock. They are not on WWE's time. They are on their own personal time, and this is how they choose to spend part of their personal time away from the company. And yet we have WWE that is saying to them, well, no, we don't want you to even if you are doing it under your own actual name. No. We don't want you doing that at all. You need to stop doing that because we're trying to figure out how to launch our own platform. And yeah, we'll do what we can to give you a cut. It's going to count against the guaranteed downside of your contract and everything. But that's just morally wrong. If you're an employer, it's just, I just don't understand how you can operate in that fashion. And word is that some of the talents reached out to Vince McMahon, met him personally behind closed doors. Hey, reconsider this, please. Strongly reconsider what you're asking us to do because XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Vince McMahon, yeah, I hear you. It's on deaf ears. And they're still going in this direction. Now, I honestly believe that part of the reason why WWE is no, is because when it's all said and done, look, man, I can be an analytics guy when I really want to. We just went over the Q3 financial reports there, all right? So if you ain't figured it out by now, I am geeky when it comes to numbers. I'm geeky when it comes to tech stuff and all that. I'm still a newbie when it comes to Twitch, but I know enough to know this. Twitch, they get a cut from what I was able to understand there, and I gotta give Mish some fucking credit, because Mish actually had put out some really fucking good valid points from what he had researched earlier here. So let me see if I can pull up what Mish had said real quick. So Mish, shout out to Mish too, Mish Wrestling Soup. He says also, Paige might end up gaining more by working with WWE/YouTube. Twitch claims 50% of all subs and a percentage of their bits sold, while YouTube does get a cut from ads, and as long as WWE wants less than 50% of it, Paige can make more money from YouTube and WWE networks' combined audiences. And that's very true. I mean, Paige, look, you know me, I don't like dipping into other people's pockets, especially when they haven't really jumped out there and they broadcasted and everything. But of all the personalities that's out there doing their thing, either on Twitch, YouTube, or what have you, Facebook Gaming or what have you, when it comes to Twitch particularly, Paige is doing extremely well. This girl is making somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a month. Again, $30,000 to $50,000 a month. Now, sure, granted, she's raising money for certain causes at times and all this other stuff, but that's pretty good when you're able to command that type of money and you're essentially able to get that on a monthly basis. I mean, look, let's be honest. If me, or anybody we know was able to rack in from fucking whatever, YouTube or whoever, if we're able to bring in almost $30,000, it's just for shits and giggles, bare minimum, we're able to bring in $30,000 a month. Shit, I'll settle for just $10,000 a month. Just $10,000 a month. Then it becomes, I don't really need to do XYZ with that 9-to-5 job anymore, do I? If I'm able to bring in this amount of money that I'm able to bring in monthly, right? Like, seriously. So, yeah, you know, you're fucking with somebody's money right there. And it'd be one thing if, let me tell you something. I'm gonna break this down real simple. It'd be one thing if Vince McMahon / WWE was going to Paige and they were saying, look, Paige, we understand where you're coming from. We understand about this whole community. We get that. But we can't have you operate this way. We can't have you continue to operate this way because XYZ. You know, it's just bad for business at the end of the day. But look, this is how we're going to make it up to you. How much money are you bringing in, you know, on this? And can you prove it? Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. we're going to give you that money minus $5,000, and we're going to have you do this for us instead. Yeah, we got you under this contract right now, whatever the contract that she has with them right now. Just stop and think for a second. What the fuck are they doing with her? I mean, great. You at one point, you had her on, what was the show they had her on at one point? At one point they had her on, I forgot it that quick, and CM Punk was on it. FS1. WWE Backstage. You did have her on WWE Backstage. That shit's gone. You bring back Talking Smack, and you don't have the common fucking decency to reach out to Paige and go, hey, you want to come do this? You bring back Raw Talk, and you don't have the common sense to go, Paige, you want to come do this? You regularly have kickoff shows for your pay-per-views, and you don't have the common sense to hit up Paige and go, hey, want to come do this? But you can keep dusting off JBL. I got mad respect for JBL. Mad respect for JBL. Appreciate the guy. But I'm keeping it real. That's our motto, right? Keeping it honest, insightful, interactive, right? Well, let's keep it honest right now. All these other opportunities that WWE has created, and they have not on their part. And if I was Paige, I would be throwing this right into their faces if it hasn't already been said to them. You create these opportunities to be utilized to make money, but you don't give me those opportunities. So I ask of you, what the hell am I to do? You've got me over here in this corner, rotting away. I gave you some of the best prime years of my wrestling career. I broke my fucking neck for you guys, not once, but twice, because I loved working for you guys, and I loved this fucking industry, and I was willing to give my blood, my sweat, and tears, and everything that I had to this business. And you guys have essentially just used me up, put me over here to the fucking side, and act as if I don't exist, and I'm trying to somehow keep my sanity, keep myself from falling into old vices that had me going down a fucked up path not long ago. You can't, if you're WWE, you can't operate like that. You cannot subtract and be like, well, we're just going to subtract. Okay, but what are you going to replace it with? What are you going to add in? Well, we're just going to... You cannot operate like that. You can't. So I feel where Paige is coming from, and I would imagine that there's other talents that are feeling this same way as well. And, you've got the Andrew Yangs that's saying, hey, man, depending on who that next president is going to be, I pretty much know I can't do shit with Trump in office, because Trump's going to look out for all of his butt buddies. But trust me, if Biden wins, I'm either going to have his ear or I'm going to have somebody's contact info. I'm going to, and see, this brings me back to Vince McMahon and crew. The timing of doing this with the talents and the Twitches, the cameos and all that right now, the timing of this is very bad. You're in the middle of a fucking election. You're in the middle of a fucking election when you really don't know what the outcome is going to be, and you're doing this move. You're doing this move. What if by the end of the week, Trump's not in office? I know we got a lot of people that are pro-Trump and everything, but let's just go with the Twilight Zone for a minute, and just hypothetically speaking, let's just say Trump does not win 4 more years. If you're Vince McMahon, oh shit. So what does this mean? And you've already got Andrew Yang breathing down your neck. You got the John Olivers with their HBO shows breathing down your neck, wagging their fingers as well. You got Jesse the Body Ventura wagging their finger at you. Sooner or later, your time is up. So the timing of Vince McMahon going down this path with the talents wrong on so many levels. If you were going to do some shit like this, first of all, you should have just let the rest of 2020 play out the way it was going to play out. Just let the talents have their fun, their cake, eat it too. Let them ride out their cameos, their twitches and all that. And, once things die down, past the election and everything, then you go ahead and you revisit this and quietly on a case by case basis, you try to work out with these talents XYZ with what they're doing with these platforms. But look, when it's all said and done, no shit. Ultimately, WWE, we've heard about this and we've talked about this off and on for a couple of years now. WWE, they are trying to launch their own podcast network. They are trying to launch, by all accounts, the way it's looking right now, they are ultimately trying to launch their own, original media content, kind of like Twitch, kind of like YouTube. So I don't know if that's going to mean that there's going to be a new entity outside of the WWE network, or if they're going to somehow just go ahead and incorporate it in the WWE network. But think about this. By having the talents, okay, we don't want you to do that anymore. Instead, we want you to come do it on our network or our networks. Now it's going to be a case where, okay, now you have a set schedule. So in essence, now you aren't being your own boss. Now you aren't, okay, well, I don't feel like doing a show tonight. I'm going to take the night off. I'll just put out a tweet. I'll put out a little blast. My audience will understand, and yeah, I'll be okay. I'll be good to go. But I don't feel like. Now you have to do a show because contractually you're now obligated under WWE. So, my question is, at some point, these men and women that are on the WWE roster, my comment / question, at some point, these men and women, they got to decompress, don't they? At some point, they got to turn that off. They got to let off some steam. They got to unwind. For some of these talents, they unfortunately, aren't going to be able to see their family, depending on, where they are. I mean, yeah, sure, right now, a lot of them, they aren't really doing that much traveling, but still for some, some are leaving family in one state and coming to another to do what they need to do to film at the Performance Center and all that down in Florida right now. So they got to unwind a little bit is the point I'm making. So they're doing what they're doing on their own personal time. But now the way WWE is going to go about things, now they're essentially going to be doing this for WWE. Okay, so now we've continued to put a barrier where that talent has to continue to be that talent. They have to continue to be that character. They've got to continue being on the clock. And they got to continue to do it and be on this mandate of a schedule, this mandatory schedule. That is asking a lot. That is asking a lot of the men and women that is on the payroll. Yeah, sure, some people can look at that and say, yeah, but they're getting paid. But look, we don't know the specifics right now. And we aren't going to know, for quite some time. We don't know what the percentage is going to be. We don't know if, WWE is going to do the honorable thing. And okay, well, if that's what you were making on Twitch, not only can we give you a little bit more and, we count that towards your guarantee, but as far as the percentage cut, if these guys were only going to do like 50% over here, well, look, we can just do this and you still come away with. That's where all those little, that's where you're kind of going, but let me tell you something. I said it a couple of weeks ago. I'll say it again. And I hope that anybody that is friends with anybody in the WWE over the years, I know for a fact we have had people that know of people somehow connected to the WWE, and some of the things I have said, it's gotten back to some of them. Good, bad, and different. What I'm getting ready to say right now, I'm reiterating it again, and you men and women in WWE, feel me on this. If there was ever a time that you all can unionize against Vince McMahon and the WWE, if there was ever a time, your time is now. We are in the middle of a pandemic. You don't have to go to this state, this city, this country, night in, night out. Right now, everything is just, okay, go to Florida, tape a couple of shows. Until you all decide, okay, we need to unionize, if not now, because now is the perfect time to do it. You can have Vince McMahon and WWE by the balls. By the balls. Okay, you guys are going to do this. You guys are going to fuck with our contracts in this fashion where we're trying to do these things outside of the company and we're trying to do these things on our time. We're trying to be our own boss and everything. And you're essentially fucking with our money over here. Okay, well, if that's how you all are going to operate, then we're not going to show up to do your TVs and your pay-per-views. I'm telling you, until the talents all get together. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I'll reiterate it again. These talents, including Paige, that is thinking about boycotting the WWE, that is thinking about hitting up a lawsuit or, or putting their foot down and everything like that. The first question that you got to ask yourselves is, how long are you willing to fight this? Because this is not going to be, it's a 1 month thing. This ain't going to be a 2 month thing. You'd be lucky if this was a 3 month thing. You need to be prepared. This could take 6 months. This could maybe even take a year. How long are you willing to fight this? And can you have the numbers of talent join you? And no, we're putting our foot down. We are signing off as a union here. This is not right. This bullshit needs to stop. And until language in our contracts is adjusted in this fashion, we aren't coming back to work. And one of the new stipulations is you can't fuck with our Twitch or Cameo or YouTube money. No, this is us. If you want us to do it under our own names, that's one thing. Under a stage name, okay, we get it. But our own name, no, hands off. How long are you going to be willing to fight this? You need guys like AJ Styles. You need guys like Randy Orton. You need guys like John Cena. You need guys like Edge. You need guys like Christian. You need guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You need all the help you can get. But the bigger the names, the more weight. And the more names that loan themselves to this fight, the more people that band together and put their foot down and say, no, this is wrong. And until things change in the WWE, we talents are not going to be returning for TV production, for pay-per-view production. What's McMahon going to do? Oh, well, I'll just call up some talents from the Performance Center. And yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. Because let me tell you something. That ain't gonna last that long if that's Vince McMahon's mentality. If his mentality is, it's okay, we'll just replace all of those guys while this is going on and we'll keep the show rocking and rolling. No. Your ratings are gonna fucking tank like they've never tanked before. Raw is now pushing on average about 1.5 million, give or take. I think SmackDown is just barely a little bit over 2 million when it's all said and done. Yeah, those numbers are going to tank real quick if your fucking core talents that you see on those shows weekly all band together and say, nah, we're good. But see, here's the thing. You band together, you do this, not everybody not everybody has saved their money up in case of a rainy day. Sacrifices are going to have to be made. So these talents are going to have to ask themselves, is this something that I really, really want to fight? Is this something that I really feel so passionate about that I'm willing to put my foot down and I'm willing to risk however long this is going to take? Or do you just cut your losses and ultimately, because apparently WWE is saying, hey, you don't comply, we're going to hit you with fines. We will even hit you with suspensions. It may even culminate in termination from WWE. So do you just cut your losses where you could be your own independent contractor, get fired from WWE, still bring in the money that you're bringing, but then you got to ask yourself, well, who on the independents is going to be able to come pick me up? Who necessarily is going to have the money that I want? Say that's something else that you got to think about as well if you are that talent. But it's real big, and I appreciate the talk that Andrew Yang is putting out there, and it's real easy to say these things, but until you really sit down and you think just like that. I have been involved in my lifetime a couple of times over the years where I've worked for an employer and I was tied to a union. And if we went on strike, even if I wanted to work, now how's that for fucking funny? Even if I wanted to work, I could not work. Like if I didn't give a fuck what was going on with the union and them, I couldn't work because I was part of the union and we were on strike. So as a result, I couldn't. So, you got to decide, okay, are we really going to be serious about this? But if the talents don't unionize right now, and by unionizing, I mean band together as a whole, show that they mean business, have that meeting with Vince McMahon, all the talents versus McMahon, Paul Levesque, Stephanie McMahon, and hash it out right then and there and let them know, look, this is how serious we are about this and what you guys are doing. Until that conversation is had, as now is the time and the perfect opportunity to do it, you may never get another opportunity like this again, because let me tell you something, if you don't do it now and eventually WWE goes back to holding live events, they go back on the touring and everything, you're not going to have another opportunity like this. So it all starts first with individuals that are speaking up, not afraid, and saying, yeah, no, this is wrong. And I really hope that in the coming days, more people can join Paige and say, yeah, this is wrong on so many levels. That's why I said what I said earlier. Think about it. Now that I've really laid everything out, it's really fucked up that Vince McMahon and the timing of this. I don't know who the hell was in his ear, but the timing of this, what the flying fuck is this man going to say to himself? If by the end of the week or a month from now, when we officially know who the next president of the United States is going to be for the next 4 years, what if it turns out to be Biden? Then he has to look to whoever gave him that advice and go, shit, what the hell are we going to do now? Because it's not like January 1st, 2021 or February 1st of 2021. We can go right back to doing live events again. So, what the hell? I don't know, but it's a weird. Zelina Vega, she has created a Cameo account in the midst of all of this. And apparently, now for those of you that's not a Cameo account, OnlyFans. I always get those two mixed up. OnlyFans. Now, when you hear OnlyFans, you go, hey, nudity, porn, hey, swang. Not what you're thinking. Her OnlyFans account is only going to revolve around her in different costumes, basically. So she'll probably be showing off maybe some of her in-ring gear, or maybe she'll pull a Leva Bates. Everybody knows how Leva Bates likes dressing up as pop icon figures, superheroes and all that. Zelina Vega is basically going to be pulling pages like that out of her book for her OnlyFans account. So, you got some people that are hearing this news and they're just trucking along like usual. But I'd like to know your thoughts about this. Sound off. Whose side are you on here? If you hear me burping, it's just the beer. Don't mind me. But whose side are you on here? Now that I've laid this out even more, are you on the talent side? Are you on WWE side? Do you legitimately see a union happening under the conditions that I said? Feel free to sound off. I'm most fascinated, and I want to know what you guys think about this whole situation, and if maybe it could eventually get rectified. And I promise you this much: I'm definitely later on this week. I didn't do it for the last piece, but for what we just laid out, I will definitely make this be an excerpt standalone. On YouTube and other social media outlets, and really, really get the ball rolling. I think all talents definitely in WWE need to hear this and really have that heart to heart. I would hope by now a lot of them have already got the ball rolling and they've been talking with one another and, pretty much go from there. Some other headlines that we can get into, we were talking about Twitch and Page and everything like that. We just talked about the quarter reports and everything, and things are obviously booming for WWE and everything. Vince McMahon essentially looking to capitalize on everything that's going on good right now. As I don't know if you heard about this, but WWE, Vince McMahon and crew, they're going to be working with Netflix for a 4-part documentary series on the life and career of Vince McMahon. I have been waiting for this patiently for many years. I even remember at one point a couple of years ago, and you can probably find it as an excerpt on the YouTube channel. I remember there was rumblings that there was supposed to be a Vince McMahon WWE movie in the works. Not a documentary. There's actually supposed to be a movie about the WWE, its rise and everything in the works. Let me take a quick swig here. And when I heard about that, I was going, damn, well, who could play Vince McMahon? And I got to go back and see if I can pull up that audio piece. Or if anybody wants to look on the YouTube channel real quick, you could probably find it. Maybe you type in WWE movie, the RCWR show. Maybe you could find it that way. But I remember, I think I said either Ray Liotta, Dennis Quaid as Vince McMahon. And of course you got to kind of go with what period are we following Vince McMahon here? Like, what era are we going with here? And I think I had laid out who would be Stephanie, who would be Shane, who would be Linda. I think I had went through all of that, but no, we're getting a documentary. This was announced during the Q3 earnings call with the investors. And it's going to be produced by WWE and Bill Simmons. So essentially, when you stop and think about it, this is the same team up that gave us 2018's Andre the Giant documentary. And everybody was just, including myself, rave reviews for that documentary. And by the way, if you all do not know, quietly, really with no fanfare, that documentary is now available on the WWE network. So if you never saw it before because, I don't have HBO is too expensive, yada, 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 yada. But you have the WWE network. The documentary is on the network. You're welcome. You'll like it. You'll thank me in advance. So the fact that it's going to be produced by WWE and Bill Simmons, I'm looking forward to this. Like, I already know, like, okay, who's all involved? Okay, great. My whole thing, though, here's the thing. If they're going to go with this documentary, I hope it is as transparent. I hope it is as honest. But most importantly, I hope that it is as open as possible, because there has been many, many, many times. Y'all can count the ways with me as well. Many times we have looked at some type of documentary and Vince McMahon has said a little something here and there, And you're like, okay, that's good for the camera, but Vince, how you really feel, brother? And as close as we got to just cracking that armor a bit, there's only been a handful of times. I remember the infamous Playboy interview. And maybe we'll do a RCWR show rewind, maybe later this week or next week. But maybe we could do a little segment where we rewind it back and we talk more in depth about the Playboy article. But there was a Playboy interview he did, and the shit that he told about his personal life, including about him being molested by a family member, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, dude. You know, so you think about how he was so open, particularly right there. And then you go back to the Andre the Giant documentary. And all my years of collecting WWE documentaries, seeing Vince McMahon comment and everything, outside of the Playboy interview piece, the Andre the Giant documentary, and I think you all would agree, that was definitely, as far as on film goes, that was like the first time you really saw Vince McMahon as far as what a talent particularly really meant to him. You could tell that he legitimately had some type of a special relationship there with Andre. And when the people off camera were trying to get, probe him and have him go a little bit more, into that relationship, you see Vince, I mean, his eyes just start watering up, and here's his opportunity here to be as very candid, as very open. That's a key word. You can be candid, you can be honest, but can you really be open to the point where you're really letting your emotions out? And there was that part of Vince that just, his eyes were watering up, and he asked them to cut. And you're like, and you saw that happen again during the Undertaker Last Ride miniseries. I know you all remember that. I know many of y'all have saw that. You had another time there where Vince McMahon just getting choked up, cuts the camera. So I really hope we don't get none of that in this go round. We get Vince McMahon just, because we want to connect even more. We want to see him be as open as possible. If you don't do it here, story about your life, if you don't do it here, this is it. You may not have another opportunity, especially to lay it down in your own words. The most heartbreaking thing to see about somebody's life is when the person themselves is no longer among the living, and it's friends and family that's talking about them. By the way, I see you all's comments. I'm going to get to them in a hot second because I posed a question earlier. Whose side are you on with the whole WWE Twitch cameo bullshit? And what I mean by that, I'll give you a perfect example. I love the TV One series Unsung. You've been a long time listener. I've talked about them a lot over the years. I love them tremendously. And, it's kind of like VH1's Behind the Music, for those of you that, maybe don't know, except they tend to always cover black artists on Unsung. And I remember when they had closed out this past season of Unsung, they closed it out on one of my favorite jazz/R&B musicians of all time, Al Jarreau. And it was so weird watching that documentary. Each of their episodes is an hour long, but it was so weird watching that and just listening to his friends, his bandmates, his kids, everybody, talking about him and everything. And it's like, yeah, you're like, yeah, but man, if Al just would have been here in his own words, that really would have been kick-ass to hear him in his own words, say a little something here. That's what I mean. It's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. I still remember the Unsung episode on Rick James. Rick James was another one where it's like, man, damn, really would have been nice to hear him in his own words. So, you got to lay it down. You got to lay it down. This is the time. You may never have this opportunity again. You can only say but so many times, if not now, then when? Vince McMahon, what, he damn near close to 80, ain't he? I mean, he's getting there. He's getting there. And I know he's up there in the mid 70s by now. Let's see here. I got, that looks like Benji. Hang on here. I got to actually pull this up. I got to blow this up a little better. See what you guys are saying here. I'm having a hard time reading that. I got to really blow that up. Hang on a second here, guys. The beep. The beep. Hopefully I got that right. The beep. He's saying with regards to the talent WWE Twitch fiasco. He's on the wrestler side. I've got Sean saying WWE talent has been needing to unionize for many years. Agreed. For many, many years now. Long overdue, Sean. Long overdue. If there was ever a time, again, I ask you all the question, if there was ever a time to unionize and go on strike, this is that time. It's the, as fucked up as it sounds to say this is the perfect time when you really stop and think about it. And I don't need to exhaust all those examples again, because you all know exactly what I mean from the heart. If you don't unionize and go on strike now, then when? This is the most golden opportunity if you're that worked up about what this company is trying to do to you and how they're messing with your side money when you're off the clock. This is the time. If not now, when? May never be another ample opportunity as there is right now. It's weird. It's really, really weird. Let's see. What else can we get into on the show here? Bear with me a second here, because we still got a couple of more little tidbits we can get into. How long we been on the air so far, by the way? Let me look at that. All right, not bad. We've been on there for about 2 hours, 12 minutes. We got a couple of more topics we can get into, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. By the way, this was shocking news. I saw this mid-afternoon, and I had to do a double take. I thought maybe it was a prank or something, but it's legit. Kylie Rae announced her sudden exit from professional wrestling. She has essentially, if you want to say prematurely retired from professional wrestling, you can call it just that. But she had took to social media. It was her Patreon account. She had took to her Patreon account, and she made the announcement that she's done in pro wrestling. Let me actually pull up her post that she had. It was rather brief, and when you read that, you're just going, wait a minute, need more information here. Like, what exactly is going on? So she went on her Patreon account Monday morning, and she said, "I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused and miscommunication. I am currently unwell. I'm also sorry that I wasn't able to get this out before your monthly subscription charge. I wanted to take this time to say I am no longer a professional wrestler and am currently taking a break from social media. It's been a very hard decision to make, but please understand. When I am well, I will try to fulfill any obligations that have been missed. During this time, most tiers will not be able to be fulfilled. Please feel free to unsubscribe from this membership/Patreon account. Thank you for your understanding. Heart emoji." So you hear that and you go, what the fuck is going on here? Like Jesus Christ. And if you guys recall, especially if you check out the episodes of Impact Showdown that I do covering Impact Wrestling Fallout, that's now a regular free-for-all show that I put out. That is going to be back into rotation this week. If I wasn't sick last week, there was definitely going to be one that was going to drop, because I did see the post Bound for Glory edition of Impact, and I was ready to talk about it, but I got sick and all. But I have spoken since I've brought back Impact Showdown. I have sung the praises of Kylie Rae, even right before she came to Impact Wrestling. I was singing the praises of Kylie Rae while everybody was going, oh, bootleg fucking Bailey, blah, 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 blah. I'm going, hey, I want to see what this girl is able to do in the ring. And once I was able to see what she was able to do for AWA, I quickly became a big fan of hers, right down to the point. I thought that as far as the women's division goes for AEW, and you could just look at the way AEW was kind of set up in its infant stages. It seemed as though she was really being built up as one of the cornerstone pieces there for that women's division. And for whatever respected reasons, there's been a lot of speculation. I hate speculating. I know it's out there, but you got rumblings that something weird had went on between her and Jericho. Again, speculation. I hate dealing with speculation, so let's just deal with the facts. As quickly as she came into the fold for AEW, she rolled out pretty much then after, and you're going, damn, what the hell is going on here? And then, a little mosquito or something in here. And then, we see her appear in Impact Wrestling, you're like, oh, hey, all right, cool. And I gotta tell you, it was really weird watching Bound for Glory. And I talked about this just a little bit when I was watching, I talked about this when I was covering the Bound for Glory pay-per-view on last Monday's RCWR show. So for those of you that had missed it, go back to last Monday's RCWR show. And I talked about how it was weird watching the main event match because I was expecting to see Kylie Rae take on Deonna Purrazzo for the Knockouts Championship. And remember how I had laid it out? I said, hey, if you're going to have Su Yung return, and I laid it out beautifully. I said, this is how you have Su Yung, the monster and all that, the witch and all that. This is how you have her return in huge fashion at Bound for Glory, basically setting up Deonna Purrazzo's next feud and everything for the title. It's going to be Su Yung. And when I was watching the pay-per-view with my girl, I'm setting up my mother-in-law's TV in the room, and I have my lady, at one point watching the match between who I thought was Deonna and Kylie Rae. And I say to her, how's the girl so far? How's Kylie doing? And Tams goes, who? Kylie Rae. Is Kylie Rae taking on Deonna? She's like, no, there's no Kylie Rae. Deonna's there, but there's no Kylie Rae. I'm like, well, who's there? She's like, oh, it's Su Yung. Somebody named Su Yung. I'm like, Su Yung? I'm like, how's she look? Soon as she described, like, yeah, that's Su Yung. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So right then and there, I'm going, well, what the hell's going on with Kylie Rae? And automatically, I'm thinking, well, maybe she came down sick or something, maybe that's what's going on. But as we had briefly talked about last Monday, apparently, she was out there where they were taping Bound for Glory. She was out there as of Friday. And for whatever respected reason, she did not show up to the taping for the pay-per-view. So you're hearing that and you're going, what the fuck is going on? Impact Wrestling never released any type of follow-up on, this is what's going on with Kylie Rae, but this is where we are right now. She had been involved in the wrestling business for about 4 years. She got into it, I think, maybe late 2015, going into 2016. So only a handful of years under her belt, but she was quickly making her mark. So, just really stop and think about that. So essentially, you're out there on the independent scene for about 3 years, and then you get your big break by attracting the eye of All Elite Wrestling. You show up at their first show, Double or Nothing. You make such a freaking impact, no pun intended, but you make such an impact. The AEW goes, hey, we want to offer you a full-time contract. We want you to be involved with us, and man, we want you to be part of Dynamite, man. We got big things planned. She's advertised for a match against Leva Bates at 2019's Fyter Fest. Didn't show up there. Got replaced by Allie. Tony Khan, he would go on to confirm, we had a conversation and everything, and amicably, we decided it would be best to part ways. But then 2 months later, she begins wrestling for Impact Wrestling at 2019's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. And, now essentially we go to, about a year later, and history has repeated itself, yet again. Now, here's the point that I'm making now that I've laid all this out. Look, and I said this on Twitter, so I'm not switching up, so don't take it the wrong way, but I reacted to this news on Twitter. You can read it for yourself. And I said, and I quote, and I hope I can actually pull this up because I really wasn't tweeting like that much tonight. By the way, friendly reminder, AC/DC's newest album, Power Up, is going to be dropping November 13th. I can't wait for that album to drop. I'm looking forward to that album, man. I'm seriously... One other time I was able to review an AC/DC album, I think it was their Black Ice album. I was able to review that. And I thought for sure, at least in my lifetime, that was it as far as reviewing an AC/DC album. But looks like I get the opportunity, the honor of reviewing one more there. I said on Twitter, though, with regards to Kylie Rae, I said, don't know what's going on emotionally, spiritually, and mentally with Kylie Rae. But hope she takes care of herself first and foremost. Everything else can come later down the road. Sure am gonna miss her in-ring work, as she was quickly becoming one of my favorites. And that's the God's to honest truth. That's the God's to honest truth. I don't know what's going on with Kylie Rae. I really don't. And I really want to home in on the emotionally, the spiritually, the mentally. I know a lot of people are gonna, now that I mentioned all of those points that I just made, essentially doing a no call, no show there for AEW, essentially doing a no call, no show there for Impact Wrestling. I know a lot of people are gonna look at those instances and say to themselves, yeah, wait a minute, what exactly is going on with Kylie Rae here? First and foremost, let's all, as fans, especially if we truly do consider ourselves fans of hers, her work and everything, let us respectfully give her her time and space. And if at a later date she chooses to voluntarily divulge into what all was going on this go round and why she had to get away, then that's at her own accord. But let's not, as fans, try to force that out of her. Let's not try to, we demand the answer. No, let's not do that right now. It's obvious, especially if you didn't connect the dots before I laid the little history there just now. If it didn't connect for you now I'm sure you got a little red flag that's up and you're kind of going, yeah, something's going on. Something's going on here. Let's give her her space and, let her do her thing and everything. And whatever it is, I just hope that she becomes whole. As far as pro wrestling goes, don't think about it right now. Of course you can support your friends, you can support your colleagues and everything like that. But as far as getting back into the ring, just, don't worry about it. Do what you got to do to, take care of yourself and everything. And I was, when I was researching on Kylie Rae, before she, got involved with, pro wrestling and everything, the little bit that I had, learned about her and everything, I couldn't help but go, well, wow, this sounds like somebody that was really, you look at where she, and I also love the fact that she is a Chicago native, just like me. I'm a Chicago native. So, as far as I'm concerned, anytime I meet or I hear about a fellow Chicago native, it's like, hey, we're in this together. It's like, it don't matter. I don't know what it is, but me and fellow Chicagoans, we just get along. I don't know what it is. We just get along. But, before she got into the whole industry of professional wrestling, she was pretty damn good as a softball player. So, you can't help but wonder, And then right before she got involved with pro wrestling, she was also a stunt woman as well. So, I'm sure for her, combining the two and everything, okay, yeah, pro wrestling, yeah, sure, why not? She was trained by Booker T. I can't wait to hear what Booker T. I'm sure he probably commented on it earlier tonight, because he usually does a show on Monday nights, way before Raw comes on, if I'm not mistaken. So I can't wait to hear what Booker has to say about her exiting and everything. I'm not looking, and I don't think people should expect for Booker to divulge any juicy information or anything, but seeing as how he had a hand in training her, if anything, maybe he can just kind of recollect, hey, this is what was going on when I had her and I was training her and, and all of this. But I'm not really looking for him to divulge in, not dirt. I hate to use the word dirt, but you guys know what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. It just goes to show you, though, that no matter what, you may think that somebody, hey, you got it all. You got this, you got that. If you're not truly happy from within, you're not really gonna last that long. You just aren't. You could be smiling in front of the cameras to everybody that you meet and greet, but if you're hurting on the inside, you ain't gonna go that far. That's the honest truth. I see a comment in the chat. Kylie is an amazing in-ring, but most def has serious anxiety that is a deep mental battle. She works brilliant indie shows like Warrior West or GCW. When it's big match moments, major shows, BFG, AEW, Panic Mode. I'm not going to speculate on that because, again, that's offering a personal opinion from a distance. I don't really, and I can't really speak if it's a mental anxiety or mental illness, or to my knowledge, and I'll have to rely on you all that actually did have the opportunity to follow her throughout social media, maybe listen to her interviews and all that. But in the years that I was kind of able to learn about her, because I'm not going to try to act like, oh, past forward. I really didn't know anything about her until I saw her in 2019 at Double or Nothing. That's when she was on my radar. And from that moment on, I was a fan of hers. But from what I can recall from just 2019 to now, I've never, in my recollection, recall her saying anything about, mental illness, mental health. I've never recalled anything like that going on. If you all do, and you can actually, credit a interview or, well, yeah, she did say something on her social media feed, then that's one thing. But I'm not going to really deal with speculation. We all could be in agreement that, especially based off what I just pointed out and going down the little memory lane of history there's enough there that brings up a red flag where if you're a promoter to the point that was made in the chat there, if you're a promoter, you can't help but say, okay, you know what? This is twice now where, you've essentially burned some bridges here at your own accord. This is twice now where everything was going good with you for this promotion, and then all of a sudden, poof, you just wanted out. What guarantee do we have that, what you did with these other two promotions, that you aren't going to do that with us? What guarantees do we have? And the whole thing about, anxiety when it comes to performing on a big grand stage, here's how I counter that. With regards to Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory, you weren't performing in front of fans. That's the one thing I do remember about watching the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. There were no fans in attendance for that. All we had was Madison Rayne, Josh Matthews. Madison Rayne actually called one, maybe two matches, but your commentators, it was mainly Don Callis and Josh Matthews. Now, the pre-show, you had Madison Rayne that was joined by D'Lo Brown, and I can't remember the other guy that they had, but they pretty much were getting you ready for Bound for Glory. There was a pre-show matchup. They were showing highlights from Ken Shamrock's introduction and all of that, but there were no fans that were in attendance. So I'm sorry, but if you have some type of anxiety where I don't like performing in front of, crowds of people or whatever like that, okay, well, we have essentially a year's worth of body where Kylie Rae was, for Impact Wrestling, was working in front of fans, and then at one point was working in a ring where there were no fans. So if anything, she should have felt even more alleviated if there was any type of anxiety going on where, so again, we really shouldn't speculate. Yeah, there's a couple of warning signs that might be there that would maybe suggest that there is some type of mental health issue that, yeah, and you would be right to maybe question it, but to actually go on record, especially without citing a direct source, like for me, I don't care. I like hearing from the horse's mouth. If a person says flat out on social media or in an interview or whatever, but it's coming from their mouth, this is what they're dealing with, this is what's going on with them, then other than that, I don't like speculating. Are there signs there that make you raise an eyebrow? Yeah, but let's deal with the facts. The fact is, this is the second company now that she has pulled out from. If you're a promoter, you can't help but say, well, look, whatever was going on with you, happy that you got it squashed, but what guarantees do I have that, a year from now or 6 months from now, you're not going to try to get out of your contract because XYZ? I hate to say this, but I damn sure after this, I'd be shocked to see her work for AEW again. I'd be shocked to see Impact Wrestling willing to work with her again. I would be really shocked at both of those. If she ever does decide at a much later date to get back involved with pro wrestling, at this point, I'll be honest, at this point, again, thinking as a promoter, I don't see how you could do business with her, but I damn sure don't see WWE. I don't see Impact. I don't see AEW. I see independence from here on out. Maybe Ring of Honor. Maybe Ring of Honor. They might be willing to take a chance. They might be willing to gamble. But outside of Ring of Honor, I don't really see anybody else that would. And that's despite the fact that as far as the in-ring work, yeah, good. I haven't heard any bad things about her as far as workers having bad experiences with her or anything like that. That's we've yet to hear anything like that. So it's safe to say you could take it to the bank, cash that check. She's total fucking pro. So what this really comes down to is the reliability. I mean, let's face it. In the real world, if we do shit like that, where we essentially pull a no call, no show for a shift that we're supposed to work, we're typically out of a job. We're either going to be suspended or, no, you know what? You're old enough. You know the consequences. You're out of a job. Bye. We'll hire somebody else. So, but sincerely, I wish her nothing but the very best. I hope that whatever is going on with her, she can get it squashed real quick and, one day at a time and everything. We lost a legend. Going into the weekend, it fucking sucked. I did not enjoy hearing this news, but Sean Connery passed away Halloween weekend. He passed away at the age of 90. The king of cool, the king of swag, one of my favorite James Bonds of all time. I love Daniel Craig. and what Daniel Craig has been able to do, not just for the James Bond character, but for the Bond franchise. What he has been able to, I mean, he has taken it to even greater heights, heights that I never anticipated that would exceed what Sean Connery and even Pierce Brosnan was able to do in their respective times as James Bond. And it's funny too, because when I was a kid growing up, by the time I was born, Roger Moore was Bond. But my parents, both of them, they equally loved Sean Connery. And whenever a Sean Connery James Bond flick was on, it's like, I'm like, who's this? I'm like, this isn't Bond. They're like, no, this is the Bond that started it all, really. I'm like, really? And I'm like, oh, he's pretty damn cool. I like him. I used to always bring this conversation up to a buddy of mine when I was working in market research, and we would always talk about movies and everything. And I mean, as much of a big movie buff I am, and a lot of times I can be a historian when it comes to talking movies, this guy was somewhat of a movie historian himself and everything. And somehow we would always get on the topic of Sean Connery. And we would always bring up the fact, isn't it sad? Isn't it sad that one of the last roles that he did was the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? Isn't it sad that that was the movie that made Sean Connery say, I don't know what the hell is going on with the movie industry. I don't know what's going on with the Hollywood industry as a whole, but I want out. I'm fucking done with this. This is, I mean, that movie killed his spirit for the business. Whatever passion and all that he had left, that movie single-handedly killed it. There was so many frictions. I won't bore you guys with all the logistics, but there was so much bullshit that was going on while filming that movie. He was butting heads with the director as well. He felt early on that, man, this project is gonna bomb. We gotta somehow steer this in a direction where at least it's decent. We may not make a killing in the box office, but he tried to sound off. But you saw the outcome if you had watched the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and that pretty much, okay, I'm done. And it's sad too, because I honestly feel that we got robbed of some of, when you really stop and think about it, we got robbed of like 10 plus years of additional acting that, we could have gotten from Sean Connery. We could have seen him in some very interesting key roles. I mean, not for nothing, but at some point, just close your eyes and just kind of picture how badass would it have been if he could have been somehow incorporated in Lord of the Rings. Just saying. That would have been badass. Or you look at the great success that Marvel has been having with their movies. Maybe just that one role where, and it's doing so good in the box office, the script is on point and everything, and you got Sean Connery. I mean, there's so many projects that, you look at and you go, what if, what if? Some of you guys may be wondering, damn, just heard that he passed. Shit, how the hell did the guy pass away? He passed away in his sleep. So if there's a good way to go out, personally, I wouldn't want to go out that way, because I would rather have my family beside me, and it's pretty much any moment he could expire, he or she could expire. I would rather go out that way, surrounded by my loved ones, and they all know, and they've gone out of their way to come see me and everything. I would prefer that, but to just go out in your sleep, I don't. But hey, that's the thing. We can't control it, right? When it happens, right? Okay, so you want this time after you get done dropping off your laundry at the cleaners, right? Okay, and then you got your yoga at noon, and then you're gonna. Okay, yeah, I can squeeze you in at 3 o'clock. Sure, I can get you then, no problem. No, death does not work that way. But he died in his sleep on Halloween at the age of 90 at his home out in the Bahamas. And his death was announced by his family and Eon Productions. They did not disclose the cause of death. His son Jason stated that his father had been unwell for some time. And a day later, Sean Connery's wife said that he had dementia in his final years. So, whether it was the James Bond movies, one of my personal favorites was his role in The Untouchables. That was one of my favorite roles, like of all time from Sean Connery. I loved his role in The Untouchables. And of course, I'm talking about the one directed by Brian De Palma with Robert De Niro as Al Pacino. Man, just learning how... Oh, I said Al Pacino. I'm so sorry. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro. I said Robert De Niro as Al Pacino, didn't I? Robert De Niro as Al Capone. That'd be something. Robert De Niro as Al Pacino. I'd pay to see that. But no, Robert De Niro as Al Capone. What he did to prepare for that role was amazing. This guy went into the movie. I'm not trying to make it be about De Niro, but it's just the useless trivia that I have in my mind. De Niro went into The Untouchables and he wanted to do it exactly how he did Raging Bull. And he wanted to get extremely fat for the movie. And when he ran it by the director and everything, we're like, no, we don't need you putting on an excessive amount of weight like that. Like, no, we don't need you to do all of that. But that's how dedicated to the role De Niro was. So even though he didn't get the green light to put on an extravagant large amount of weight, he still went into that role. So have that in your mind when you're watching De Niro in The Untouchables. That's not makeup. That is legit. Maybe to a certain degree, what they did around his nose area and all that. Maybe that. But everything else, he legitimately picked up the weight for. Again, kind of like what he did in Raging Bull and everything. But Sean Connery as Jimmy Malone, I love that character. That character for me was just so iconic because if there was ever a best friend you had to ride or die with, if there was ever that person you wanted to have be by your side through thick and thin, man, there is some heavy fucking shit that's going to go down. And I don't really know if we're going to come out of this alive. But man, look, I'm willing to do this. If you're willing to do this, are you in? No matter the cost? Like, that would be the best sidekick I would want. And Sean Connery played that Malone character down so fucking brilliantly. I loved it. And it's got to be one of those... His role in that movie is so iconic that no matter how many times I see The Untouchables, I still tear up when I get to the scene where Capone had his fucking men whack fucking Malone. I still get choked up when I see that scene because I'm like, he played that role so fucking brilliantly, man. You're like, oh man, we got it. Like, damn, come on, Elliot. Yeah, Elliot Ness. Kevin Costner played Elliot Ness. Like, come on, Elliot, man. Get that son of a bitch Al Capone. Take his ass down. Like, come on, get that motherfucker already. But man, yeah, he played that role. He played that role so brilliantly. Love that role. Another one of my personal favorite movies. Come on, The Rock. Come on, The Rock. That was fucking awesome. Hunt for Red October. That was another good one. One of my all-time personal favorites And it's actually a movie that I would like to remember him by. You know, a lot of people look at fucking League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but I like to look at Finding Forrester as his last movie. Because I was so heartbroken when I watched League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I remember walking away from it in theater saying, I never saw that. As far as I'm concerned, I never saw this movie. It never happened. And I just fucking block it out of my damn mind. So if you guys were to say to me, hey, Lee, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I'll say to you, shut the fuck up. Like, 'cause I don't even want to think about that movie. But no, for me, Finding Forrester. I loved that role of his particularly. I mean, to be this brilliant author, wrote many cool, kick-ass books and everything, and he has become so disconnected with reality. He has become so disconnected with the times because eventually how it developed, I don't know, but somehow he got this phobia and he's never left his home. And everybody's thinking that he's freaking dead and and all this other, crazy shit or whatnot. And you get this young black kid that picks up one of Forrester's books. And, it's been so long since I've seen the movie, but somehow this kid ends up connecting with Forrester and gets his help in writing some of his papers and all of that. And one of the kid's professors is like, nah, man, this is too damn good. You writing this is too damn good. Nah, this is beyond your level. I don't even understand how the hell you were able to write this, because let's really break it down for those of you that saw Finding Forrester. Let's really break it down. And by the way, the professor, Professor Crawford, played by F. Murray Abraham, brilliant fucking actor, most underrated actor there is. He played that role of the professor so brilliantly, of Professor Crawford. He played him so brilliantly. What that really was, okay, you're black. Black people aren't capable of writing that intelligently. That's really, as pissed off as you might feel, if you've never seen Finding Forrester, I promise you, when you see the way F. Murray Abraham's Professor Crawford character comes at the black kid, Jamal, the way he comes at Jamal, word for word, that's exactly what you will think. The way he's coming at him, like, oh, this guy must be racist or something. Like what the fuck? And you got to remember, Jamal gets accepted to this, not for nothing, but it's a predominantly white school that this kid is able to go to and everything. And yeah, but it was a great movie. I remember you got this reclusive author who is so disconnected to everything that's going on in the world. He doesn't even know, what's going on with sports, the newest cars that's out there, how people are getting around these days. You go in his home, and his home is like something from the 60s, essentially. And it's a great story about a man finding his way back into society, being connected, to the world, and the story of a beautiful friendship that blossoms as well. Kind of think almost like a sequel, if you will, to Sin of a Woman. If you remember Sin of a Woman with Al Pacino and Chris O'Donnell. Kind of think something. Was it Chris O'Donnell that was in Sin of a Woman? Hey Google, who was in Sin of a Woman? I think it's Chris O'Donnell.
Sin of a Woman has a cast of 36 actors. Here are the first three: Al Pacino, Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, Chris O'Donnell. Hey Google, stop. Yeah, it was Chris O'Donnell. So, good movie. Check that out if you never checked that out before. It's directed by Gus Van Sant. He was phenomenal. He was fucking phenomenal in that movie. But that's another one that I had really enjoyed. First night was okay. I enjoyed him in that one. Medicine Man. I thoroughly enjoyed. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Of course, Indiana Jones, but I mean, come on, really the star of that was Harrison Ford, so I can't really get behind on that one. Let's see what else. I'm actually looking at it. I'm actually looking at his. I'm actually looking at his IMDb list here. Let me look here. You realize how many James Bond movies he did. I could have sworn there was something he did with Catherine Zeta-Jones where he was a jewel thief. Was it Entrapment? Why do I feel like it was Entrapment? It was Entrapment. I actually enjoyed him in that one as well. I thought that was oozing charisma. I mean, as far as romantic chemistry and all that goes, I remember when I saw Entrapment in theaters, I was like, man, these two clicked so damn well. I was ready to hear something about maybe they were an item or something afterwards because they had such good chemistry on set. I was ready to hear that in real life they decided to hook up and all that. But yeah, that one was real good too, man. But hey, look, 90 years old. That's a nice, long, ripe age. Got to see a lot. But like I said, man, the dude, I mean, he did a couple of little voices here and there on some projects. But as far as his last, leading role or like the last time we physically saw him on the big screen, you got to go to 2003's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So when it's all said and done, we were denied essentially 15 years of additional work, or at least 10, at least guaranteed 10 more years of some work from him. And it sucks because he would have been good in a couple of projects for sure. He would have been good in a couple of projects, but he lived to be a nice ripe age of 90. Of course, you're reminded how crappy and how sucky 2020 is. You can't help but be reminded of that because we lost a lot of good people in 2020, and you can't help but wonder who else is possibly shockingly, if at all you can even use the word shockingly, because now we've just gotten so numb to, oh, they went on that ship, huh? They went on that cruise ship, huh? Sail away, bon voyage. They went on that cruise, huh? We've gotten so numb, it's... I want to end the show on this note. So, if you didn't get a chance to go out there and do your early voting last week, this is the big day that's coming up. Decision 2020, Election Day 2020, November 3rd, Tuesday. Know your rights, people. Know your rights. I'm not going to be all long-winded and everything, but let me just tell you something. If you plan on voting, plan ahead. Plan in advance. You want to make sure that you're doing your part to... I know most of you guys, you're probably going to deal with work, and you're probably going to try to go vote after work. If your boss will allow it, try to see if you can leave under the circumstances. Try to see if you can leave 20 minutes early, maybe even a half hour early. Make it up on your next shift. If you're able to do that, hopefully many of you will have that type of flexibility with your job. Or, hey, if you're able to maybe wake up a bit extra early and get it out the way right before work. Because they're all going to be opening up, depending on your respective neck of the woods, they're going to be opening up at either 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. Plan ahead and everything. But particularly if you're going to be going after work, know what time the cutoff is for voting and try to make sure that you are there in that line at least 5 minutes before. At least 5 minutes before. I saw the most horrific thing that was online yesterday. There was a lady out in New York, and I actually had asked some of my friends and colleagues in the New York area, hey, can you shed some light on this? But you'll probably see it. There's a woman in New York City that showed up. She admits it in the video as the person is filming her. She showed up at 4 o'clock, and she was told that, she's too late. She cannot go cast her vote. And you see this police officer and somebody else that's right in front of her, and they're basically leading the last group of people in, and they deny her access into this building to go vote. And she's having a fit about it and everything. You got some people that are online and they're saying this is kind of fucked up because this person showed up. Okay, maybe they showed up 5 seconds after 4 o'clock or 15 seconds after 4 o'clock. What the hell? It's just one extra person right there. What's the fucking harm in that? What the hell? And you can legitimately make a very good point for that. And then the other point you can make is, yeah, but hey, the cutoff time is this time. That doesn't mean you show up at that time right as they pretty much, okay, officially, you guys are the last people. All right, so let's cut it off right here. So, I mean, hey, is it fucked up? Yeah, but, as I always tell people, if you're late for something, take self-accountability. It's nobody else's fault but yours. If you know that you are supposed to catch a bus or a train at a particular time, well, you want to make sure that you don't show up to that bus stop or to that train stop at the time that bus or train is supposed to pull up, right? No, if anything, you want to try to make sure that you're there 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes before. That way, if something weird happens as you're on your way to that stop, you'll still essentially get to where you need to get to in time. It's all about how you're budgeting time management. You are talking to somebody. I prided myself for years wherever I've worked. I'm not saying you got to be as perfect as me, but me personally, for a guy that was never in the military, came close to joining the military a couple of times. That's a different story for another time. I always, wherever I've worked, I've always showed up 45 minutes, a half hour early, just in case something weird goes down during my commute. No matter what, I'm always able to get to work with more than a half hour to spare. And you think that, oh, I'm just going to clock in on the dot. No, I always clock in 5-10 minutes early. Always. It's all about how you budget your time. That's how you got to do it. But make sure you plan smart when you're going out there to vote. And one phone number I want to pass along. Actually, I can't pass along that to you. But if you go to vote.org, you'll find a lot of good, resourceful information. Find out, get your game plan ready. Find out, okay, where am I going to go vote? Big day is here. Where am I going? Who's open? Because the destinations for the polling places, it's changed from early voting week into election day. So, and that's like nationwide. So you definitely want to make sure you got everything correct. And have patience. Don't be discouraged. There may be a lot of people. I'm sure you guys are watching the news. You saw what I saw. I watched the 11th hour with Brian Williams on MSNBC last week. And I think I watched the Friday edition. And I think at that point they had said about close to 80 million Americans have voted in the early election. So I'm going to be quite intrigued to see how many people are actually going to be voting on election day. I'm most curious. But have patience. And I want to say this. No matter if you're a Democrat, a Republican, independent, blue, red, black, white, brown, it don't matter. I want us all to come together as the decent human beings I know that we all are, in America. And no matter the outcome, if Trump is reelected, he gets 4 more years. You voted for Trump or you vote for Biden, whoever wins. Don't use that as a time for gloating. Don't use it as a time for gloating. Don't use it as a time for moaning, groaning, bitching. Don't do that. And I can't help but bring all that up because I teased it earlier, but I told you guys I was going to get into it a little bit later on during the show. Over here in the DC area, it's weird. It's really, really weird because all the businesses that are around the White House, I mean, within like a 5, almost 10 block radius, if you will, they are all boarded up. I bullshit you not. They are all boarded up because a lot of the store merchants, they feel that, hey, in the event that Trump wins, or hell, maybe Biden wins, we could have some type of a riot on our hand. We could have people protesting. We don't need our property damaged. So it looks really, really fucking weird here in DC right now. And it's sad that we've got businesses that are having that mentality and they're thinking, well, this is how we got to do it. I'm sure that probably hasn't picked up any traction for your local news media outlets, but that's what's going on over here. We even got the DC mayor, she admits that, hey, these are actions that we really don't feel is necessary to take, but, we understand and, we really hope that no matter the outcome, as far as, transferring of power, just whatever happens, we hope that everybody can be peaceful, respect the properties, and just respect the outcome, respect our system. And that's why I say what I say as far as, to each fellow man and to each fellow woman, no matter the outcome, let's not use it as a time for gloating. Let's not use it as a time, no, none of that ha ha ha, in your face, none of that shit. Yeah, because it's not needed. It's not needed. But yeah, if you haven't voted yet, get out there and cast your vote, because the analytics of history will show what did you do during this particular time frame. It will show. Maybe you weren't vocal on social media. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you didn't make a donation to a respected party. Okay, that's fine. You didn't do that. But when it counts the most and it comes to voting, where were you? It's not really about where, as far as which side were you on, but more importantly, where were you during this time in history? Something that blew my mind the other day, and I had no idea. It was actually pointed out to me last week, and I never knew this. So when I'm able to learn something new, I'm like, please tell me more. I'm intrigued. I did not know that. So as long as you have a person's first and last name, you can look up how they voted in every election. You can do that for free. I did not know that. And my mind was just, wait, what? You can actually, like, yeah. And a buddy of mine was telling me, he was like, why do you think when you see some of those campaigns on TV and this person voted for beer and this person said no, don't vote for this person because they said no to beer. Like, yeah. Why do you think they're able to pull up this person's record and mention this and in this year and all this other shit? It's like, yeah, because you can access it for free online. I'm like, what? So, you don't talk one thing. I mean, oh yeah, I was there, and that person knows your name, and they look it up online. Well, according to this, looks like you sat it out, right? So then you're going to be looking like an ass when it's all said and done. I already voted, as many of you guys know. I voted early, so I'm good to go. But yeah, please get out there if you haven't voted yet. Get out there, vote. We need to hear from you, man. You got to let your voices be heard. You guys are what pushes the needle. We all together, collectively, we basically control not just our fates, but we're controlling our future's fate as well, especially for the generations that's going to be coming. And at some point we all are going to have to leave this earth, and we got to ask ourselves, well, how do we want to leave this earth? As far as to the next generation, obviously we want them to have the opportunities that, we didn't have, the generation before us didn't have. We want it to be in the best hands, have the world be in the best position possible for these up and coming generations. So a lot of what you do now when it comes to voting has a huge impact on the elections later on. I said it last week. I'll say it again. You could be 18 years of age and saying, I don't care. If you go to school, you're thinking about college, you're going to get that student loan and all that. Election means a lot to you. You thinking about getting a credit card? Politics, this election means a lot to you. You thinking about getting that new car? Yeah. You thinking about that job, thinking about what that salary is going to be, that hourly wage. Yeah, you care about politics. You care about maybe one day having a kid, getting yourself a nice place to live. Yeah, you care about politics. You got some type of a medical condition, or heaven forbid, you meet a nice honey and you decide you want to have a kid. There's some complications that come along the way. Unfortunately, something happens with that kid where, who knows, Down syndrome, they have some type of mental retardation, or worse, or what have you. You care about politics. So you gotta brush up and you gotta get involved, because you can't change the world sitting on your ass. All that bitching and all that, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but when it counts the most and it's time for action, all right, now put your money where your mouth is. What are you doing? And that's what I mean when I say the analytics of history and time is going to show during a particular period. Well, what did you do when it counted the most? So get out there. If you haven't voted already, make sure you vote. Before I leave, my phone had went off, but I think we had got either 1 or 2 new Patreon members. So I want to give a acknowledgement real quick here before we get ready to roll out here. Let me see if I can log in real quick. And I do want to kindly give you a reminder as I'm looking up this information, patreon.com/RCWR show. You could sign up on there, check out bonus audio, video content. A lot of great content you won't be able to find anywhere else. Shout out to our Patreon members once again. Let's see here. Trying to log in real quick. Hopefully I gotta verify my device. Yeah, I'm looking at the notification now. It looks like I had got a new Patreon member. So hang on a second here. And as far as when the next edition is going to be airing, I'm going to play that by ear. I have this Friday off, but the past couple of times I've had Friday off, check your device. My phone is dead. But yeah, the past couple of Fridays, my boss has basically, yeah, remember that Friday I had you off for? Oh, well, I need you to work. And he's kind of done it at the last minute, like typically the day before. So I would like to do a show Friday for you guys, but I have no idea. If the Friday is going to stick. So if the Friday sticks, then we're going to do a show. I'm not going to comment any further about a Friday show. Just stay connected on social media and you guys will know. I'm like this, honestly. As long as you are on social media at some point Thursday night, You guys will know by 9:30. I promise you. 9:30 at night at the earliest. You guys are going to know if there's going to be a Friday show. Yeah, it looks like we got hey, welcome back. Fredo is back. He said, happy to be back. Can't wait to listen to the content once again. All right, Freddie. Hey, appreciate you. Welcome back, Freddie. Appreciate you, my brother. Love you and love all our other Patreon members. By the way, shout out to our sponsors as well. I will make sure I link them in the episode description. And I'll leave you with this thought. You can take this the way you want to take it. This isn't me dick sucking or anything else. When I comment on stuff that's happening in the world, I try to come at it as neutral as humanly possible. And if you want any better idea about me, what I'm about and everything, this is me in a nutshell. Somebody that I'm actually Twitter buddies with, Rex Chapman. Love his posts. Give him a follow on Twitter. He posted this thing earlier about Willie Nelson. And Willie Nelson, it's a short clip. It's about 25 seconds. And basically, in a nutshell, Willie Nelson, he had reached out to the president to see about the detained kids on the southern border. And Willie talks about how he never heard back from the president. And for me, that was just some heavy, powerful shit that I heard. Because as I was telling my girl, and I showed my girl this literally right before I came on the air, I said, Jesus Christ, you know how many live aids Willie Nelson has done? How much of a great humanitarian this man is? You think about We Are the World and all. I mean, Willie Nelson wears his heart on his sleeve. Like, what the hell? And I posted a comment about this. And I'm not saying this, I don't want people to take this in a way where, I'm not trying to influence anybody's vote in any type of way. I tell you guys how it is. And this is what I thought when I had looked at the situation. This is what I said on Twitter. Because I did, you can see my comment. I responded to this, and there's a lot of people that have been showing their appreciation for what I had said. You want to take my word for it, you can go read it for yourself. I said, dude is straight up legendary. As legendary as the Pope, Beatles, Zeppelin, Cash, Johnny Cash, etc. And you don't reach back out to Willie. Even if you don't want to do it, at least reach back out and say thanks for the offer, but not at this time. Don't leave a legend hanging. Now that's a foul. And I said foul because, as many of you guys know, Rex Chapman used to be an NBA player and everything. So, it's kind of, I'll leave you with that. And that's all I really have to say about that. And I mean, it doesn't matter if you're black, brown, like, everybody knows Willie Nelson. It's like, you can't take the time out to, and I liked some of the comments that came in from the people that were reacting to it, because one guy had said, one guy had said, where's that comment? One guy said, well, to be honest, the president doesn't even know who Willie Nelson is anymore, let alone know who Lil Wayne is. I like this other comment from Scott. Scott said, Willie has the biggest heart. I once brought a woman with cerebral palsy to one of his shows, and afterwards, while greeting his fans, he saw the woman in a wheelchair and motioned to his people to have her come to the front and kissed her on the cheek. Truly a genuine and a legend. Another person had said, oh, and don't forget that he has saved a lot of horses and gave them a forever home on his ranch. I read about it 2 years ago, I think. So much respect for you, Mr. Willie Nelson. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Everybody stay safe. So we'll talk politics another time. That's about as political as I'm gonna get because I usually like saving all of that for the Patreon shows. But I think you guys can kind of read in between the lines how I personally have been feeling. But no matter what, win, lose, um, like I said, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat. I don't care. It's okay to disagree. That's what makes this world go around. The important thing is we need to be able to sit down and we need to be able to hear each other out and we need to be able to respect each other and not do the constant bickering, getting in the fist fights, and well, I don't want to know you anymore. You're no longer my friend since you don't share my ideology, you don't share my beliefs, and if anything, if it's that heated and that intense, then that's just an area that you both agree, especially if you appreciate the camaraderie that you have amongst each other. You both agree that, okay, well, that's just something that we just won't bring up and we'll just be fine. But win, lose, draw, get out there, make sure you cast your vote. All right, get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, use keywords the RCWR show. And like I said, hopefully we can do a show Friday. You guys will know Thursday. Just stay connected on the social media feeds. As you're exiting, make sure you leave the thumbs up, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, okay? Until next go round, I am wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. Thank you kindly for checking out this deluxe edition of the RCWR show. Catch you guys in a couple of days. Impact Wrestling fans, you guys will get your new Impact Showdown. That will be dropping, I will say, at the latest Wednesday night for you guys. You'll be able to get that wherever you get your podcasts, on demand and on the downloads. All right? Peace, y'all. Take care.